What's up, motherfuckers? We're all here. We're all watching you write those things in the chat. I can see it. We all can. How's everybody doing?
Look at this photograph.
Fuck. Started early.
Right, let's get started.
Up?
What up, you dumb shits?
Starting the Twitches.
We try not to start it with pissing ourselves laughing, but we just can't seem to get it right, can we?
Yeah, this episode is called Son of a Twitch. So, there you go.
That's a good name. Good name there. So I'm just trying to get
It's a
there.
strong name.
Dave found Miracle Grow. Fuck you.
I don't know if Dave's Miracle Grow experiment has led to anything other than making him look like he maybe touches children. I mean, this is not what I wanted!
For my birthday, I asked for the hair of 1980s Bon Jovi. And this is what I've got. So,
You do give love a bad name, Dave.
I do. I'm living on a motherfucking prayer right now.
See when you tried it, was it bad medicine?
Yep, always.
Oh man,
Too obscure, that one.
you look like Teen
What do you mean?
Wolf.
Bad medicine's a tune and a half.
Always, I said.
Alright, oh no, that's not like I tell you that.
Too valid.
Yeah, and then did they not do a song that was used on like Tampax advert? I think that's when you know you're fucked as a band, like as a serious rock star,
Yeah.
when they're using it for feminine products. Unless that's your market, unless you're aiming for
Yeah.
that, it just seemed like a bad choice.
Thanks for all the hair love, people.
Yeah, we
Appreciate
love it. I would love it if I were in the room with you.
Actually loving it though.
Yeah. This is as long as I've ever grown my hair.
Raven gifting out all those freaking subs. Look at you go. That's 5.
Subbing it. Absolutely subbing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm subbing it. Well, she's subbing it. Thank you so much. That's incredible. Geeky Ninjas in there. Oh, that's going to be fun. And Burke. Burke. I like that when Raven types stuff out, like when I talk to her on Discord and stuff and in chat, she actually types out how Scottish people speak.
Yeah,
Neighbour. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm like, you don't live here. You're not my neighbour. And she's like, no, you fucking dumbass.
No, I think that means I think neighbour is no bother.
Yeah, I figured that one out. I'm making a joke, Duncan. Thanks.
Not neighbour, as in like she's not living next door to you, Kyle. Don't make that mistake. Don't go chat next door and saying, "Hey, you in there?"
Now my neighbour's
You're not Raven.
my neighbour's an older guy. He's pushing the mid 60s, right? And he plays bass as well. So if I opened his door, I'd be like, "The fuck."
Hey. Dave's almost mid 60s,
Yeah.
right? So didn't be hitting him with he's pushing things, right? He's hitting a sensitive birthday.
It's been a while since you've had long hair, hasn't it?
Dave's never had long hair.
Yeah, I mean, when I was about 16, I had it to about here, and that was about as far as I could go. It was just a fucking pain in the arse, to be honest.
I go by SP because I'm an American named Seamus.
If it makes you feel any better, I can't pronounce names. We've all established that. So,
I'm sorry, Seamus. That's great.
we do love you, though. We do love you.
Yeah, we do. Thanks for that extra gift sub, Raven. That's amazing of you. What are we up to on that goal now? Like 57 out of 100. Nice. That's pretty good.
Nice.
Unsubbing on Spotify. No, don't do that. There's something coming out in 2 days. You got to get your ears wrapped around. Unsub now and you miss it.
You miss everything.
Well, it's on Bandcamp. So
Miss a thing.
No.
I could lay awake just to hear you breathing.
Oh my God, somebody mute him. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm having a tall, cool glass of Aerosmith.
I don't want to miss that thing.
I have something called Beaver
I'm gonna
Town.
choke to death. You son of a bitch.
I listened to
What's
both
Dave
of your
drinking?
songs.
Beaver Town.
Oh, Beavertown's amazing.
Oh man, I've never heard
Beavertown
of it,
beer.
but oh,
Oh, Beavertown does amazing IPAs. So
Yeah.
I could murder a beaver town right now with a digger.
I'm just gonna say that she's not gonna enjoy that. So let's remove the fucking construction materials.
Raven, 2 more, Electionaire and Carvalhau. Oh, Carvalhau's really old French. Great.
SP Burke says Aerosmith beer tastes flat because it expired 20 years ago. Nice.
That's generous. That is.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it tastes. This is smooth though when it's going down.
well, at least one of you is smooth going down.
I mean, that's what we did, eh? We listened to all the Aerosmith back catalogue because we're stacking up all the Aerosmith albums tonight, aren't we?
Yeah,
That's
that is
not
exactly
what we're doing.
No, oh,
That's what won the poll though. Was Aerosmith.
No.
I am
No.
gonna have to call Steve Tyler and be like, I'm sorry, it's not happening. Please cancel the appearance. And
Imagine.
he's gonna have to like put on his other mask and
I've
go.
listened to Ragdoll 100 times in the last week, and you're telling me I don't get to discuss it on this
You
episode?
not. You do not.
Fuck you, Dave. Fuck you very much. And your fake hair.
Ooh, hey. I'm fake about this.
Yep.
Metal, huh? Good genre. I'm glad you agree.
Aerosmith, that is a back catalogue I do not want to listen to. Oh,
It's inconsistent, to say the least.
What, they've got like 4 hits that are popular with.
They have a period of time from about the kind of early 80s to the mid 90s where they're relatively really good.
Relatively
like
really
not
good.
yeah, not the whole albums, but there's a good 4 or 5 songs per album that's shit hot, and then they released Pink, which is a fucking banger, and everything else was shit.
Alright. Now we
were
know.
also
We don't
used
have to
on
do the
Mrs.
Aerosmith
Doubtfire.
deep dive now.
You mean when you're on the Mrs. Doubtfire soundtrack, you're fucked? Oh, hello there. I'm a wicked granny that can bebop, dance to you drop, and make a wicked cup of cocoa. Oh,
oh my god.
I'm going to be doing all my Dillinger Escape Plan reviews tonight in the style of Mrs. Doubtfire, so you're all fucked.
Ooh.
Oh, it's wicked jazz fusion, so it is.
That was a wee bit Glaswegian, Missed Outfire.
Technically, he said the accent he was aiming for was Edinburgh, which is not. It's not. Mrs. Doubtfire doesn't sound like someone from Edinburgh.
Didn't Kiss do
So
a
they-
disco album without makeup on?
They did do a disco album.
Well, yeah, I was made for loving you as a disco song.
Well, yeah.
That's the one that forced their fans to burn their back catalogue.
And Gene's like, burn it. I've already got your money.
Yeah, Gene was like, burn it because I know what will happen. You'll buy it all again.
Yeah.
So I'll pay for my second house. And then every second year I will make a statement saying that rock music is dead and then go on tour. Thanks, Gene Simmons, for being a prick.
Yep.
Apparently it was really nice to Anthrax when they went on tour with them, though.
I imagine he's probably nice to everyone when they're talking about how much they love Kiss. You know what I mean?
Probably.
And I imagine if you're on tour with Kiss, part of the contract you have to sign is that you can only say nice things about Kiss.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's like
probably.
kind of like a catch-22.
Yeah.
You'll play in front of crowds you've never played in before, but as penance, you must talk about how influential Gene Simmons is on the bass.
Yeah. I love his one-note solos. They're great.
Ah, dear. Kiss, there's another thankless back catalogue.
Oh. No thanks.
I think I'll probably listen to all of that back catalogue, and that'll be like the day before I kill myself.
That's rough, man.
Their greatest hits is brilliant, but that's because it's like 12 songs from 100 albums.
Yeah.
I love how we're just taking pot shots at some of the biggest acts still around. Fuck them.
Fuck Aerosmith. Fuck. Who is it? Kiss. Who's next?
Yeah, Kiss.
Big
I don't
band
know.
roast.
You know we want to do Metallica, but we'll save it for another
Oh,
Oh yeah, when we deep dive in Metallica, it's like we get up to 1991 and everything falls apart.
Yeah.
that may be an interesting one to do, actually.
Yeah.
Till that St. Angus wins around.
Oh,
He never gets respect.
Yep.
it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, that song.
We're only doing their back catalogue if we have to watch that documentary again.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. We should just do
Yeah,
a watch
sure.
party with a documentary and just...
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally should. Where we
Yeah.
can see my favourite bit is when the psychiatrist starts writing their lyrics.
Chris is here. Hey, Chris, how you doing?
What's up?
He's like literally, he's literally working through it. He's like, so what is it? What is it, James? What is it, James? And James is like, well, it's it's like some kind of monster. Some kind of monster, baby. So love it.
Can we fire him? Yes, Kirk, you can fire people in your employ. Jesus.
It's one of my favourite things. Like, that's why you should never, ever, ever let cameras behind the scenes unless you're Pantera.
Or
Like,
you'll... Yeah.
Yeah.
the Pantera behind the scenes is just tits and booze. That is like that's all it. Tits and booze and the
Satanic
crew.
Falcon. Yeah.
Yeah, Satanic Falcon. Holy shit. 3.
Amazing.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
should
we
do that
can.
as well. We should just do like live streams. Like I'll just add to our already massive workload.
Yeah.
Like every quarter, we should sit down and watch a kind of rock behind the scenes documentary live on Twitch.
Oh, yeah, that Korn DVD was fucking insane. They're all just like,
Yeah.
"Rah," the whole
Oh, yeah.
time.
That's a good
The
one.
whole time, and you can hear it on the album.
And
release.
heads like halfway through it just looks in the camera and goes, I bought a lemon. And I had no idea what a lemon meant. And he just pans out to this fucking awful Volkswagen. I'm just like,
Oh,
man,
he's like, oh no, you spilled my beer. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And then he drinks it at the carpet. And
Yeah.
the carpet's nasty.
Ooh.
Nasty. I'm sure that's also the one where Jonathan Davis drinks from a toilet.
probably.
I'm sure.
Let's
I
be
mean,
honest.
they went on to sell millions. So.
Oh, man, that's the secret, isn't it?
That's the
All right,
secret
be right
drink
back.
from the
I've
bowl.
got some drinking to do.
But yeah, we should do it. We should totally do that because there's a couple of stonkers out there that we could watch. That's
Yeah.
right. I use the word stonker. Deal with it.
Stonkers, 90s.
Stonkers.
Nice.
Sorry,
True.
I mean Dave in his 40s. He's a bit.
True.
I mean Dave in his 50s. So no, this is the last Twitch of Dave in his 40s. So this is the last Twitch before Dave starts to be eligible for a pension.
Bus pass them on.
He put the wig on, but that's to entice younger people.
Easy.
Easy
Easy.
now, easy, Duncan. You're
Ooh.
shocking, Dave. No, so this is the last Twitch before Dave turns 40. There we go.
True
Which
story.
is happening this Saturday, ladies and gents. So
Ooh.
send him some love. Come on, you know you want to. Wish him a happy birthday. It's your birthday. Now you gotta pick up the phone.
Opening for Kiss there, but yes, that is true. Oh,
He's so old that he inspired Kiss and Aerosmith. They cite him as an influence. That's how old Dave is. Dave's so old that when he writes a review for the website, it comes in hieroglyphics. Dave's favourite memory of childhood was when they invented the wheel.
is this just a roast
Tuesday.
now? Is this just what it's turned into?
This is the Davy roast. We thought you thought we were talking about Dillinger Escape Plan. No, it's the Davy roast.
Nice.
Oh, man.
Special guests or celebrities or anything like that turning up now?
Me.
Excellent.
So we could drag one at short notice. We only decided this 5 minutes ago. When I thought this would be a good idea. It's tanking now, so we're going to move on. Axl Rose has turned into the mother fertility from the Goonies. He really has. If you look at them side by side, he is. True story.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Because he's the president of Metal Epidemic. Happy birthday to
Somebody clip that, please. Oh my god.
you.
Dave is so old. When he talks about metal, he means the discovery of bronze.
Yeah, Dave measures his age in the ages of the Earth. So there was the Ice Age first. That sucked. It was kind of cold. Iron Age was really cool. They got swords and shit. So yeah, there we go. Right.
Amazing.
Right, what the fuck are we doing tonight?
What the
apart
fuck
from
are we doing?
the big
Yeah,
baby roast?
so this stream we decided to put a little vote as to which band we were going to cover, and there was no
Stained one.
No
Stained
Stained.
won again. They did. It's been a while.
Let's never do that again. In the end,
Kyle is
Dillinger
not happy.
Escape
Look at
Plan-
that stare. Jesus Christ.
The Dillinger Escape Plan were victorious. So we're going to be discussing each album from first to last, and then we will rank them in order of least favorite to favorite at the end. I don't know about you guys, but after listening to so much Dillinger this week,
We've went the other way, haven't we?
yeah, we really
Like,
have.
it was like listening to one long song for a week and a half.
Yeah.
And now I actually feel like I can work out complex algebra with muscle memory now.
Yeah,
I'm just like, yeah.
I always feel like I had to like counterbalance it with something that's like in
You say
4/4
Nickelback,
timing.
I am leaving here. You say if you come away with look at this photo, this is how you. No, I'm leaving, Dave.
No, there was a wee bit of Jimmy Eat World, to be honest. And a wee bit of that,
Lovely,
just,
good.
you know, just to smooth the edges. You know, somewhat a little bit formulaic, with a little bit of structure, a little bit 4/4, and that was all good again. But yeah, it's quite a heavy back catalogue to go through.
I used Meshuggah as my palette cleanser.
Yeah,
Oh, Kyle. I'm so metal.
yeah. You listen to the Meshuggah. You listen to Meshuggah after listening to I don't know something of Calculating Infinity, and all of a sudden their time structures make sense.
Yeah, everything is just like,
You're like, oh, that's a relatively easy polyrhythm.
Yeah.
thanks, Meshuggah. I get it now.
I think like after listening to all these albums, I think if you asked like 5 people to rank these albums, you'd probably get 5 different looking lists. I
My
think-
top spot has changed 3 times in the last
Yeah,
week.
exactly.
These guys have heard this, it has changed. Like, I was confident I knew what my number 1 was, and I was like, this is like game, set, match.
Yeah.
Cut to 1 week later. Last Wednesday, I was like, guys, just letting you know, it switched up, and then to just before we started recording, where I was like, it's changed again. So,
Yeah.
I know exactly what my number 1 spot is 20 minutes ago.
yeah.
Fuck. This morning I was like, yeah, okay, I think I've got a hold on this. It's going to be good. And then, god damn it, I listened to the whole thing again all over today, and I'm like, what is it? Which one is the best?
Yeah. Exactly the same. Well, I don't think there's a wrong answer, to be honest. Like, I think you could see why people have picked like a particular album as their favorite. Like,
Yeah.
But you could have a completely different opinion on it, but they could still be kind of right. You know what I mean? It's like
It's almost like we've all got option paralysis.
kind of.
Oh, I just slipped that in there.
You did. I felt it.
So, the Dillinger Escape Plan, formed in 1997 in New Jersey by
No, I think you
guitarist-
meant to say New Jersey.
Yes.
That's what you
That
meant to say.
explains
New
all of
Jersey.
the raw, pure hatred that comes out of that band.
Yeah. It's an angry place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Formed by Ben Weinman, the
Tony
guitarist.
Soprano, Polly Wingman. Is that not who formed the band? No?
Hey,
Oh, and cut to black.
Don't you stop believing, I'll tell you.
oh,
Right.
nice.
We're on a journey here, Dave. Let's do this.
Bassist Adam Dahl, vocalist Dimitri Minikakis, and drummer Chris Penny. They were originally a hardcore punk band called Arcane, before changing their name to the Dillinger Escape Plan after John Dillinger, the 1930s bank robber who was notorious for his multiple escapes from jail. They did a couple of demos and EPs back in the day before moving on to record their full-length album, Calculating Infinity. And just prior to that recording, their second guitarist, John Fulton, left the band, and their bassist, Adam Dahl, was in a car accident and he fractured his spine, which left him paralysed from the chest down.
Jesus.
So subsequently, Ben Wyman, the guitarist, he played both guitar and bass on the first album.
Proving that you don't need a bass player in a band.
Oh,
It's true. Absolutely true.
No one's safe to. That's right. It's now the roast of Kyle Sevenoaks.
Thanks for the 500 bits, Raven.
birthday
Yeah,
hit.
it's true. The bass player is, is just the dude that hangs out with the band.
True. Yeah.
You missed with the large penis.
The largest.
The largest.
The Faith No More vocalist, Mike Patton, was actually one of the first people to hear the album. And he asked Dillinger to tour with his band, Mr. Bungle, for 2 months. And shortly before touring began for the new album, former Je Suis guitarist Brian Benoit auditioned for the band. He took the place of the departed Fulton, and Jeff Wood, former MOD bassist and childhood friend of Ben Wyman, took the place of the injured bassist Adam Dahl. Which brings us on to Calculating Infinity from 1999. Released on Relapse Records and Hydra Records, produced by Steve Evans, who did a lot of kind of like 90s hardcore and metalcore. He worked with like Poison the Well, Hatebreed, Glassjaw, Skin Lab. He went on to work with like Sepultura on Nation and stuff. He also went on to produce every single Dillinger Escape Plan album. Ben Wyman.
Well-known fact.
Yes.
I did not know that. I was talking about how great the production evolved over time, and Dave's like, it's the same dude, and I was like, oh, right. Did not know that.
Ben Wyman and Chris Penny also assisted a bit in the production of this first album. So, gentlemen, Calculating Infinity, where to start? I mean, what a start to your career. Like, imagine this is your first album. What the fuck?
I think I'd be a one and done if this was my first album. I'm like, I've peaked. This is it.
Yeah.
I remember buying this album. I remember being at college and
so
buying
loud.
this album. This was like way back in the day. So it must have been about a year. I don't even think it was a year. I bought this, and to put the context is always king on these things. At the time, I was listening to such genre-bending and complex music as Limp Bizkit. There may have been a little bit of Crazy Town in there. I can't say for sure, but it was mostly kind of new metal and thrash that I was listening to at that point. I know that you yourself, Dave, had already started to get into things like Meshuggah, but to me, everything was pretty much that 4/4 time. You know what I mean? And I remember listening to this album particularly and just being like that, I'm not ready for this. And then just I kept it, never got rid of it, but I did just close it. I listened to it once, and then I think it was about a year before I came back to it because it was just, this is an album that absolutely does not have any give at all. Like, because that's what the rest of the catalogue has. They worked out that balance of you can bludgeon people with the most like viscerally aggressive, staccatic aggression, but 2 songs after that, a little interlude. Take the foot off the pedal. This one doesn't have that at all. I actually, we were joking about it in the chat. I'd forgotten how fucking full on this album is because I hadn't listened to this in years. And I got about halfway through it and I was exhausted. Just absolutely drained. And not because I think it does anything bad. If anything, now at the age I'm now and from the music that I've been listening to for years, I appreciate it so much more than I think I've ever appreciated it. And I think it will reflect later on when we talk about our placements.
Yeah.
But even then, how you begin to craft, construct, and build an album like this, and then release it and tour on the level that they did, because the stage shows match the sound, and that's the hard part. You expect the band to be standing, like I've seen Sixth live a few times, right? And whilst the band do move around a bit, they don't really move around, like you know what I mean? We listen to Dillinger, and no one stands still. Like no one is still for a second. Like guitars are flying about the place. They're in the crowd. They're out the crowd. And they don't miss a note, which is just
no. How do you do it? I can barely play the bass and breathe at the same time without missing a note.
I read a quote from the band about the time they released this album, and they said, "Calculating Infinity was us effectively ripping up the music theory book. If someone said, 'Don't harmonise with a second, it just sounds out of tune,' then every single lead we did, we'd harmonise with a second. It sounded disgusting, but we did it." And the other rumour that I read, which I don't know if it's totally true, there's no like confirmation of this, but I read that to determine the next time signature in the track, they would roll a set of dice. Yeah.
That's excellent songwriting right there. I'm going to do this in 6, 2, what?
Oh, fucking hell.
Apparently. So it says. So the internet says anyway. I think this is an album that really still holds up really well.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like, as you said, it's Dillinger at their most like unhinged, where they kind of took the hardcore style that the band had, originally before turning into Dillinger, and merged it with this kind of disjointed like mathcore meets free jazz meets avant-garde and progressive metal.
There's almost like a tinge of grindcore in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like flurries of it, and when it hits you, you just are. But they manage. That surprises me if they did do the old dice thing, because you would never fucking know the old dice thing, as if that's something bands do. But I mean, that would surprise me, because you to me, you can't. It doesn't feel like at any point, like the song's like, well, that just, once again, that doesn't work. It's difficult to get your head around, but I don't think in a negative way.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting.
I think this is also their most influential album in terms of like inspiring other like mathcore and metalcore bands.
Yeah,
we saw a huge number of bands trying to like replicate the sound following the release of this album, and I think it's still an album that influences bands to this day.
Kyle's favourite album of the year thus far doesn't exist in a world where Calculating Infinity didn't happen. No way Pupil Slicer exists in the form that they do without this album.
No way. Yeah, I was thinking that, listening to all this. No way Sixth exists, no way Pupil Slicer, anything like that. They've got a lot of people that have been massively influenced by them, of course.
Yeah. Obviously, it had some really big songs as well. The opening track, Sugar Coated Sour, it's like one of their most recognisable songs. And then 43% Burnt, obviously, is
great song title.
One of the most chaotic songs in their catalogue. I think like the musicianship on this alone is just on another level. And even though like it's like super technical, they still managed to make parts of this memorable somehow.
Yeah,
like
somehow.
I know, like I don't really get it at all, but somehow it sticks with you, even in like with all the kind of jazz-driven like kind of mathematics of it. It's really strange that it still sticks in your head for some reason. Actually, like, I this was an album that I still played quite regularly anyway. So, like, it wasn't like I'd been away from this for a while. So, it was quite easy just to go back to this and stick it on. I really did enjoy it. It's just it's a classic, to be honest.
It's been about a decade for me, easily.
Yeah,
easily a decade. The thing that always ultimately hurt the revisit on this one is the vocals for me. The vocals are too one-dimensional overall. It totally fits the sound, because there aren't many moments where the band break out into sections of kind of abstract melody, which they incorporate later on, which you have to imagine is because they acquired a singer who could do that. But I think that adds to the ferocity of it, is just the vocal aggression is at 100 all the way through. So it'd been a while since I'd come back to it, but like I say, at the stage I am now coming back to, this is probably the most I've appreciated this album overall and what it does. I also think fuck this for being a producer trying to record this. You know what I mean?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
know what to do.
You know what I mean? And the
Yeah.
thing is, the production is great on it. It has a really raw feel, but
Yeah.
once again, it's not, you're not sacrificing any instrument in here at
No.
all. It's all
No.
nice and clear, and it works. And there's some specific choices not to do a bit of fuckery that they do later on.
Yeah.
Which isn't here. So this is about, like you said, it's raw, straight from the teat. You know, Dillinger Escape Plan. This is like, it's all there, and the craft out. What I love about this is, like, within a couple of years, this band will be accused by certain corners of the internet as quote unquote selling out. It's just fucking nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense.
know,
But I kind of love it.
I know it's mental because, like, a couple of years later, as they start to, like, their sound starts to change, you've got bands like Candiria are just releasing 300% Burnt, which is like, is so Dillinger. Like, it's absolutely, like, really influenced by that band. But by that point, Dillinger are like, yeah, guys, cool, that was cool, but we've moved on to something else now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Insane.
I love that attitude from them. They're just like, fuck you, and fuck
Yeah.
you too.
Yep.
It's great.
Great album. Great album. Yeah, Calculate Infinity, 1999.
If you've not listened to it in a while, go back. But make sure you're doing something kind of lightweight on the brain before you hit play.
Yeah.
Like don't be like operating heavy machinery, or or like trying to work out like a wedding floor plan. You know, where everyone's going to be. Auntie Jean can't sit beside Uncle Norman because they don't get on since 1973. Don't listen to this album when you try to plan that, because I ain't gonna work.
Yeah, you're right there.
Nope. Listen to some Carpenters. Yes.
Yes.
Some
Oh
Carpenters.
man, the Carpenters.
Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
That's not.
Was that no? That was Karen Carpenter, was it no?
No.
I think it was.
Was it?
Was it no?
No. Was it? Did she hit that note? Ah! Is that Captain Carpenter?
I was sure it was. Maybe no. Maybe I'm
Why
wrong.
two birds suddenly? Maybe it is.
No.
I don't
that's
think she
Minnie,
got that high.
Minnie Ripperton. Don't know who
There
that is.
you go. You just have that on your fact sheet beside me. Dillinger facts, Minnie Ripperton. Yeah, Karen Carpenter couldn't get that high.
Karen Carpenter was a fucking amazing drummer, by the way. If you go into YouTube and put in Karen Carpenter drums, just sit and watch her playing drums. She's like fucking jazz level good. It's ridiculous.
I did not know that, and I will do that after we finish.
Not a
I
lot
love
of
her
people
voice. I'd like, not that I wanted to derail us talking about Dillinger Escape Plan by talking about the Carpenters, which was suggested in the chats. This is not a random off the cuff thing. Genuinely, I think like her, like when I occasionally listen to the Carpenters, which is a thing that I didn't think I would be saying. I do. I genuinely, their greatest hits is something that I listen to. Like when I can't sleep, Carpenters is really soothing to listen to. I get like genuine chills and goosebumps with her voice. There's something about the tone every time.
Yeah.
So there we go. I didn't think we'd be talking about that while finishing off on Calculating Infinity. But
Seamus knows. Seamus knows the score. He knows.
There you go.
What I
Female
listened
Buddy
to
Rich.
come down after Dillinger was White Noise.
Not familiar with their back catalogue. Should be an option for the next poll.
Just White Noise. 4.5 hours of it.
Only if you do the 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
His face is going really purple now, David.
By the end of it.
Right, where are we going to now?
Okay,
What we doing next?
so next,
okay,
in 2000, the new guitarist Jeff Wood left the band, and he was replaced by Liam Wilson. And then later that same year, vocalist Minikakis left the band due to a rigorous touring schedule. In between searching for a new vocalist, the band recorded an EP called Irony is a Dead Scene that included Mr. Mike Patton on vocals. They also released an instrumental version of 43% Burnt from Calculate Infinity and invited prospective vocalists to record and send their own vocal tracks. One of the vocal tracks submitted to the band was from a guy called Greg Pucciato. And after inviting him to a couple of practice sessions, they asked him to join the band. 2003, the band appeared on the soundtrack for Underworld with the
Yeah,
song
they did.
Baby's First Coffin.
Yep.
Their first original song with, is it Pucciato or Pucciato? I'm not really sure how you pronounce his surname.
We're
Pucciato?
Scottish, so we're fucked. So let's not even try.
Pucciato? I don't know. The
Let's
band's-
just call him Big Greg.
Big Greg. The band's second studio album, their first with Big Greg, was Miss Machine, released on July 20th, 2004 through Relapse Records, again produced by Steve Evans, Ben Wyman and Chris Penny.
The
So-
Scottish kryptonite pronunciation of any other language.
Any other language.
True story.
Give us places like Ochterarder. We can say it like that. Give us a name like Pucciato, and we fucking would like it. It's a bro nick to aye. Fucking little bastard. You know what I mean? That's fine. Give us a name.
Or
Give us a name like Ronaldson, and we struggle.
La Fon.
Yeah.
So,
La Fon.
Miss Machine, 2004. So this one was based entirely on the concept of a dystopian future and the struggles of the working class, which was something that was kind of new to Dillinger at the time. So a bit of a change here. Still like heavily led by like all the kind of off-kilter rhythms and time signatures, but definitely a more accessible album than Calculating Infinity. And probably
Caveat being the accessibility is there's a couple of songs that aren't like yeah, you're like needing that, requiring an abacus and a degree in temporal physics to work at the time signature.
yeah, accessible for a Dillinger album. Not an accessible album, but you know, compared to the
Oh
last
God,
one,
no! Like you shove on Panasonic you to begin. You're like, that's the thing I love about Dillinger. Every single album starts off with a swift kick to the testicles.
yes, absolutely.
Like every single, and they never change that formula.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is a Dillinger album. Fucking bah! It's like,
Probably the biggest jump kind of dynamically between albums.
Yeah.
I think like there's a lot of this that still feels like part Calculating Infinity, but definitely with more attention paid to the choruses, because now you've got Big Greg adding his style to the mix, which obviously included that kind of bit of melody as well. And his kind of vocal range kind of let Dillinger take what they had already kind of mastered and apply it to a kind of more, I suppose, a more kind of colourful and diverse set of songs.
Answer to the question in the chat to our buddy Seamus. No, I owned the Underworld soundtrack, and I believe the Underworld soundtrack. Why should that surprise anyone?
Right.
But well, I think Danny Lohner done a ton of stuff on it.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, which is the reason I got it, because
He did
big Nine Inch Nails fan.
not the score. Yeah, he did the soundtrack, not the score. Yeah, but
Yeah, but I'm almost 100% sure it's the version that appears on the album, which to this day blows my mind that was on the fucking soundtrack to a large commercial movie about vampires and werewolves. Yes, big Kate Beckinsale rocking out to Dillinger, love it.
Big Kate.
big. Let's hope she doesn't hear us calling her that. She'll be like, "You
Big
are
Kate.
banned from watching my films."
Big Kate.
Hey,
doll.
you should listen to any Kate Beckinsale interview. She is a saucy minx. Like every story kind of starts to lead off into. She's like Nigella Lawson, where everything is tinged with. She wants it. She wants it right now. Maybe not with me, but she wants it right now. So
Interesting. I've still to check out her new film actually. There was one dropped on Amazon recently.
Oh
Kate
yeah,
Beckinsale.
Jolt or
don't
something.
do it.
Jolt, yeah.
Yeah.
I've not watched it
Don't
yet.
do it. Don't do it. I looked minced.
But it's got Kate in it though, so
Yeah, but female Duncan.
How do you
well,
know him
saw-
this well?
You saw me flex the moves earlier on. We're about the same cup size, so yeah,
Fun fact
Yeah.
I didn't need to know.
yeah.
you're welcome. So like stylistic jump, still elements of Calculating Infinity. Continue, Dave.
Yeah. I was going to say this album definitely feels like slightly easier to digest than their debut. Although I would say I enjoy their debut more now than I did back then when it came out.
Yeah.
I think lyrically and vocally this is like head and shoulders above their debut. Not that like Minakakis was a bad lyricist, but I think Big Greg's got a way of kind of making things sound far more memorable, especially on tracks like Highway Robbery or Phone Home.
You can actually make out what he's saying as well,
Yeah,
even though he's screaming
definitely.
it. Like his
Yeah.
enunciation is perfect, absolutely perfect,
He-
and it helps that he sounds like. And we might as well get this elephant out of the room right now.
Do it.
He sounds like he's slightly more pissed off Trent Reznor, and that's
Yeah.
he genuinely does,
Yeah.
and that's why like his aggressive moments are, not that dissimilar to Trent Reznor, specifically in and around the Broken Era.
Yeah.
Which is where I think he takes a lot of his inspiration from. So
There's a lot
as a
a lot
fan.
of that, and there's a lot of Mike Patton in this as well.
Oh
on
God,
this album.
yes, yeah.
But in saying that the scream at the start of Sunshine the Werewolf, you know, that Cry Your Eyes Bloodshot, that
Yeah.
scream gets me every time. I love that.
He's
Amazing.
incredible.
Yeah.
I fucking love him, man.
Yeah. But another really strong album. Like obviously to come to follow up that debut. I don't think it's a perfect album. I think they do go a little bit more kind of experimental at times on this release. And for me, it doesn't always land kind of perfectly, but I still love the fact that they still like to keep things quite unpredictable. I think, even though this is like Big Greg's first album, but it does sound a wee bit too much like other people on this at times, especially the Trent Reznor and the Mike Patton. But I think as you listen to their albums, it starts to lose that comparison a bit, you know, as the Dillinger albums go on. But I think like if you like the kind of Dillinger intensity, but you want the occasional hook or like more pacing and more kind of tonal variety, then I'd say I'd try this album first rather than Calculate Infinity. Not that like Calculate Infinity isn't varied or anything like that, but it's definitely more difficult to grasp than this album, I felt. But I enjoyed going back to it, you know, all these years. I hadn't listened to this one in a while. What about you guys?
I love this album.
Oh.
I actually think this is about as perfect a Dillinger album as you're going to listen to.
Right.
Because it is, for a lot of the reasons that you've already laid out, I just feel this works better for me than maybe necessarily work for you overall. This is the perfect marriage of the new and the old. There's enough of the chaos of Calculate Infinity in here, and that's not to say that they move away from that as much. I just feel they refine it more. Their text sections are just more refined the further they go along. And it's like it's bottled chaos on this album, which I love, because when it's released, there's no way to control it. And even though I've listened to this album easily 100 times, that's not even a joke. Like I remember when this came out, I bought the Digibox version of it, which is all fancy, and it fucking opened up 100 different ways, like a shite Rubik's Cube, or like that box from Hellraiser. What the fuck am I doing here? Like I listened to it so many times, and once very much like yourself, it had been a few years since I'd come back to this, and instantly it was a big nostalgia hug for me. It's like straight away, right from the first note of Panasonic Youth, I was like, oh, here we go. And then it's just the moments you forget when you hear again for the first time. It made me giddy. Highway Robbery is a fucking incredible song. And then by the time you're moving into Phone Home, which is the first one where they start to really explore ambience and more melody, by the time you're moving into Setting Fire to Sleeping Giants, which is a great single. It's the perfect single to release as a way to encourage people into this new singer. And then you finish off with the kind of two-punch combo of Baby's First Coffin, which is fucking so brutal. And then Unretrified, which is a fucking great song to close with, because unlike other Dillinger albums where you get that closing song as the one that they go experimental on and more melodic, Unretrified finishes with him just screaming his fucking lungs to the point of, like he ain't speaking for a week after that record. Like, it ain't happening. I think this to me is the one where, and I don't disagree, I think he is still kind of in that zone of I wear my influences on my sleeve and you can hear it. I don't think you get the real Greg Puciato until you get a bit more of an Ironworks, but it's not until like something like sort of One of Us is the Killer or something. You can see where he's gone, specifically with his solo stuff. You could see that jump to where he was going in the side projects he's involved with. But on this one, weirdly, that kind of I sound a bit like Mike Patton, I sound a bit like Trent Reznor, I sound a bit like, you know, like this fucking the angriest man in the room. That weirdly works with the transition in their sound. I think if you get later day Greg Puciato and then put him back on this, I don't think some of it works personally, just because they still have so much. Like, I've seen them, we're working this out earlier on here. I've seen them 4 times, so I'm trying to remember. I would have seen them on Miss Machine, the Miss Machine tour, for sure. When they played with System of a Down, that was 2002, so that would have still been toured in Calculating Infinity.
Yep.
Right, so I would have seen them at that stage without. I don't even know if he was with them.
Greg was with him.
Was he? Did he tour Calculated Infinity with System of a Down?
He played that show anyway. Definitely
Did he?
played that show.
So like I've never seen them with any other vocalist, right? And to me, there's something. If you're touring that album, that kind of makes sense that he kind of sounds a bit like that whilst being himself by the time you come to this, because you've got a run in of what, 2 years, 2 years of doing that sort of material and then moving over. So to me, it really, really, really works. There's a ferocity in this one that I still don't think they get with later albums. Weirdly, and I know I might get disagreements here, I think this is their heaviest album. Just like to the wall heaviest album. I think it's heavier than. I'm not saying it's not as complicated. It's heavier than Calculating Infinity for me, and I don't think anything they released after it is as heavy as this. It's my thoughts, but it balances. The balance works.
I still think
So,
the debut is their heaviest, personally.
Anyway, I was kind of thinking, will I be kind to him? It's almost his birthday, and I was like, no, he's got a wig on. If you want me taken serious, that wig has to go. I think this one, this was a surprise for me because it was an album I always, listened to it loads, but coming back and listening to it for this run through, I was like, actually, there's not a thing on here I would change at all. Like even a little bit. I think even the placement of all the songs is perfect. Like every song works, and the position of the quieter moments of the building to heavier songs, all perfect for me. So yeah, Miss Machine, 2 thumbs up from this guy.
Nice. Kyle, what did you make of this one?
Same as you guys. I don't really know what else I can say.
Did you like it?
Yeah, loved it. I've absolutely just. It's one of those. I love this type of music. Crazy fucking out there. But it gives you time to breathe in between, which is, like I said, like Calculating Infinity did not do that. And you get halfway through it, and you're like, or two-thirds of the way through it, you're like, oh my god, I need to please give me a rest. Press pause, take a breath, and away we go. That's Calculating Infinity. But this one, no, I like the way they were just like, they're just sort of saying to everyone who loved the first album was like, fuck you, we're going to do what we want as well. Like they had the ambience and the electronic stuff, and they just experimented and did whatever the hell they want. And they were like, you can like more than just one genre, guys. Come on. Listen to how good this sounds. And I love their attitude on this one as well, even though some people may have like misinterpreted it as they're mellowing out on their second album, but I mean they're fucking not, because it started just right out the door was just kick you, as Duncan said, swift kick to the testicles.
every album, I don't know what it is, like they obviously just, that must be like a rule with like the Dillinger album, like the first song has to be like chaos. What are you thinking, like, the synths as well, like, on this one? This is the first move towards using, like, loops, synths. There's, I believe it is synths in the string section. And is it No, it's not Unrectified.
I remember the song.
Is it? It might be Setting Fire to Sleeping Giants. I think there's a string section that comes in where he's doing all his screaming. It's like dun 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 dun. It's like all fucking dun 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 like that, and it shouldn't work. It really fucking shouldn't work, but it totally fucking works.
It really does.
And that's to me the exciting thing about like this album as well is it's not that we've got a new singer who can sing as well as do visceral screams. It's not that we're experimenting with that, but we're also going to bring in this additional layer that, I mean, we have played around with a little bit on previous stuff, but we're going to bring that in as well. And oh, by the way, it's going to fit perfectly here.
Yeah, it just
like,
works
all that
so
stuff
well.
works so well.
Yeah. It must have switched a lot of people over to that kind of stuff because it just fits in perfectly. You don't expect it, but when it happens, you're like, holy shit, that was good. So yeah.
My song impressions are hilarious. It's difficult to describe because I can't remember the song either.
Yeah.
And then I hoped that the guys would pick up the slack and they just let me hang myself, which is always great when they do that. They're like,
that's the way we do it.
Kyle, just watch him do it. Look at him.
Sit back, have a drink.
Yeah. We've got a little secret chat on the side, just like, just let it happen.
Okay, so Miss Machine, moving on. After that album, so Chris Penny, he left Dillinger Escape Plan amidst writing for their next album in 2007 due to friction between him and guitarist Ben Wyman. Ben Wyman started to program drums daily for 2 months out of desperation. And then on June 15th, the band announced the title of the new album as well as confirming the departure of Penny. Among the drummers considered to handle drum duties were Morgan Agron and Sean Reinhart, but the band decided to choose the relatively unknown Gil Sharon of Stolen Babies.
Fucking love Gil Sharon. Absolute. Gil Sharon is a fucking beast on drums. Like you want to talk about drum clinics. You do yourself a little favour, type in some Gil Sharon into YouTube and watch him do like an expose or something on his drum. It's fucking ridiculous. And that guy was playing in an avant-garde band that were singing creepy sea shanty metal songs. And I love Stolen Babies, but like come across from that and then played in Dillinger and fucking nails it.
Eventually, they completed their follow-up to Miss Machine in 2004, titled Ironworks, and the new album was released on November 13th, 2007 through Relapse. Despite the inner turmoil when the record was finished, the band was more satisfied with it than any of the previous ones, calling it a turning point. The album debuted on the Billboard 200 at number 142 with 7,000 copies scanned, but was later corrected when it was revealed that Relapse did not account for album pre-sales, increasing the number of total copies sold to 11,000.
Jesus Christ, Relapse.
Fucking idiots.
They're my record label of the year thus far, but I tell you right now, stories like this are making an impact. Don't make me take Genghis Khan off the top of that list. I will do it through spite from this story on this recording. Why did it not make number one?
Is that going to be one of the awards at the end of the year? Is record label of the year?
I think we should, because there's a couple of record labels this year that have clearly designed like their attack specifically this year. I mean, it'll be interesting to pit something like a Unique Leader Records, which maybe that might get the award for most active record label of the year. For sure. Put out 100 albums and it's only fucking August. But yeah, I think that'd be an interesting topic, because I think we might all come down in different stances. The right answer is Relapse, so just to let you know. Just to let you know.
Yeah. So 2007, Ironworks. So for this one, I think on like a kind of song level, I think Ironworks contains some really kind of blistering songs. The album like starts really admirably, albeit a wee bit predictable, with Fix Your Face and Lurch.
Predictable in that they're chaotic, not predictable as in, here's another 4/4.
No.
Another 4 swingy ballad coming in here with Fix Your Face. Like
predictable for Dillinger, like both tracks, kind of serve as a kind of reintroduction to how brutal and like challenging Dillinger Escape Plan can be. And then you've got other tracks like Nong Ai Gong and Party Smasher. Pretty
great
kind of
great name.
I know, bringing out the kind of heaviness and the kind of teched out like time changes and like typical Dillinger fashion. And I think like at the time this came out, like most people would have thought fairly highly of it. Listening to it now, against like all the other Dillinger albums, it didn't
See
really, it didn't really light me on fire. This one.
This was my number one. If you remember, I said to you
Oh really?
when we announced this on our chat, 2 weeks ago,
Mhm.
when I was like that, I've got my number one sorted without listening to them, and I was like that, it's Ironworks. Ironworks is their best album.
Right.
And I come back to listen to it, and I realised really quickly that whilst I appreciate a lot of Ironworks, I think at times it's the confusing release.
Yeah.
I think it struggles, like where I'd said Miss Machine, the song placement's perfect.
Yeah.
Like in between the heavy stuff. I think there's moments of this where I actually feel like to me, whilst it's hard to argue that Black Bubblegum and Milk Lizard aren't two catchy as fuck songs.
Absolutely.
They are very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
And you could not accuse any previous Dillinger album of having tracks that sounded, well, this is the formula for how they do their I don't want to use the word ballad. This is a Dillinger ballad, which is probably the best way to describe it. You know what I mean? Those single releases where they had more melody, none of them sounded alike, but those two songs in particular just feel they feel designed for radio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a part of me that's like, that's not Dillinger. No.
I know. It's funny though, like when I was listening, I was thinking, if any other band had released this, I think I would have been impressed. But like when you play it alongside the other Dillinger albums, it was the one that stood out to me that just didn't kind of really blow me away. I don't know what, I was trying to think why I didn't like it as much as the rest, and I think it didn't really move forward enough for me. It's more of a kind of reduction of their previous styles, but it doesn't really elevate like the technicality, the songwriting, or the melody that we had on Miss Machine. And they tend to jump between like 3 different types of tracks on that album. You've got like your techie kind of like mindfuck tracks, and then you've got like the experimental kind of ambient stuff, and then the more like radio friendly accessible tracks like Black Bubblegum. But I just kind of felt like the techie stuff was predictable for Dillinger. The experimental stuff was it wasn't as like claustrophobic and as crazy as the stuff on Calculate Infinity, and it's not as like kind of brooding as it was on Miss Machine. And then the poppier tracks, although are more sugar coated, I don't think they're as likable or as well executed as they are on Miss Machine. I don't think it's a bad album by any means. I think it still has its moments. I don't think Dillinger have any bad albums, to be honest, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like they'd really stretched themselves on this one. Had some good ideas, but I just don't think they're executed quite as well as they were on previous albums.
It's a stronger vocal performance.
Yeah, you hear them getting better on every album,
Yeah, that's about it for me overall.
Yeah.
Musically, there's nothing hugely different. It's like they've taken the bits that they really liked on Miss Machine and built songs around them, as opposed to wrote songs for an album.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of those ideas that are clearly are the band experimenting on the previous album, which I love.
Yeah.
And it's like they've said, well, that's a really cool idea. Our sound that we had on that track, let's build a whole track that sounds like that sound. I'm with you on this one. It kind of bummed me out a little bit, not because I still think this album is a great album.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Dillinger have no bad albums at all. I still think it's a great album, but like this was the one I started with, and I was like, I wonder if, because like it wasn't that it was like a kind of like a damp squib or something at all. Like when it finished, I was just like, there was something that wasn't there for me.
Yeah.
And then I followed this one up with an album that we will be talking about very shortly. And when I listened to that, I was like, oh no, that works better on that album. And then everything started to change on my list from that point. So it's, I think I could see musically why they would say it's a turning point, because they kind of ditch, not fully, but they ditch a lot of the pure chaos of the earlier releases. Like I said before, every element of the chaotic time signatures and the kind of like insane kind of metal jazz you know, the like intense kind of noise rock stuff that you get kind of afterwards,
Yeah.
it feels a lot more focused. You know what I mean? It's just in the way they're writing it, it's a lot more focused. It's a lot more kind of singled in on what they're doing. And I think Miss Machine's the last one where you get like elements of just, it's just insanity. All the other ones, and this is the one that kind of starts to get that right. We'll have them in bursts, so to speak, and then we'll break them out in the. And I don't know where that comes from. Clearly, to an extent, it's them becoming more accomplished songwriters, but that's not necessarily what I want fully from Dillinger Escape Plan. I still want those moments of like complete head fuckery.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to sound like I hate this album, but it was one of those moments where I was kind of like so excited. I was like, I get to listen to Ironworks. It's been a while. Can't fucking wait. Hit play on it, and I got to the end, and I was like that guy that they use in the GIF who does that thing where he does the face where he goes like that and goes. I was literally like that. I was like, huh, kind of not what I was wanting.
This is not the this is not the Dillinger I expected.
I genuinely thought Stained had ruined me, and I couldn't appreciate this music anymore. But look, thankfully, like I say, there's plenty of others in here. There's still great moments. Like Party Smasher is about 2 minutes of someone like dry humping your face with Velcro on the outside. You know what I mean? It's kind of
sandpaper.
It's kind of amazing. And there are other songs where they do, but even like when it closes with Mouth of Ghosts, which is the first in what will be a recurring pattern of Dillinger doing these longer, sort of more ambient, kind of weird. I don't want to use avant-garde because I'm not avant-garde, but more kind of spacey tracks to close out albums. And this is my least favourite out of the lot because there's about 3 minutes of this that doesn't need to be there. It's not doing anything. So yeah, I don't know. I can see probably why they're high on it, but it sadly started to shoot down my list a lot quicker than I was expecting.
Yeah.
Kyle?
Kyle's been awfully quiet about this one. What you got to say, Kyle?
What have I got to say? I love this album. I don't know what your fucking problem is. No.
You're all fucking wrong!
Both of you are fucking
Here
wrong.
it goes.
I love the disjointed nature of it. I think it's fantastic. Just, you don't know what the fuck's coming next. Is it going to be more techie, crazy stuff? Is it going to be ambient? Is it what's going on? I've just completely, ever since I listened to it way back in 2000 and whatever it was, I just always come back to it. Especially, I learned to play Black Bubblegum on bass as one of the.
It's a great song.
It's a great song on bass. It's so fun. The little pick part they got in there, because the Dillinger bassist, bit of an overplayer. Not gonna lie, but it works to great effect and there's good charm.
Give me a second here till I pick up this. Right, give me a second till I'll load it here. Shots fired.
But no, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. He overplays it. It fucking works so well for them, so I just love it. And that song, Black Bubblegum, he kind of reined it in a little bit and did things a bit more simple. But that little like pick thing on the single Black Bubblegum, it was just great. Right in the beginning, just underneath it was fantastic. I love it. I can't remember the rhythm right now. I sound like a goddamn spaghetti western, but rawhide. Oh, I'd love to hear Dillinger do that. Can we get him on the phone and ask him if they can do that? That'd be great.
Yeah, let's get them on the phone.
Isn't this around the same time they did the Aphex Twin cover as well?
I think so.
Yeah. I think that's why, like, that both of those things, they were played it live. I think they only ever did it live. And I saw it on a video. I was like, oh my fucking God, they turned the most metal, non-metal song that was ever written and made it more metal than anybody ever thought it could fucking possibly be. And it's like, Dillinger covers Aphex Twin. I'm like, oh my God. And it worked amazingly well. And hearing Greg just stand on stage going, I want your soul, it just made me almost shit myself, to be honest. Back to Ironworks. No, I love it. I don't know. Like, all the good things you said about all this is absolutely true. I just disagree with a lot of the like negatives because I just think the disjointed nature of it just speaks to me on a whole nother level. And I'm just like, love where it went. It just went off in crazy directions that I had no idea what was coming next, and it worked for me a great deal. And I get what you mean by the two singles being very radio friendly, but I think that was a calculated decision to get more people into their music and then just go fuck you with their album.
Maybe, yeah. I think you can do that without making both singles. And once again, bands don't choose singles; record labels choose singles. So, I mean, it's the record label's choice to release, which is weird for Relapse. It really is. But then Relapse miscounted their album sales, so fuck knows what was happening in this time period. But it kind of feels like you could have in the previous, on this machine, Panasonic Youth is a single.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was, I think that might have been their first single, which wasn't on Underworld. So you hear that and it's all chaos, and that's what, but when we swing to this, I just kind of feel like picking the two safest songs. And it's not even that they're both kind of even Dillinger ballads, which is what I'm calling them now. We're going to use that phrase moving forward because there's no other way to describe it, to be honest. Radio-friendly Dillinger Escape Plan songs. But I even feel that their structure is very samey, whereas in all the other parts here where they are being chaotic and all the rest, it's like you see you get kind of giddy because you don't know where they're going next. On those two songs, it just kind of feels like it's to a formula, by a formula, and designed to sell albums, which
I also read that they obsessed over the mix and obsessed over everything to do with this album for months and months and months, and they delayed releasing it and stuff. So I can understand they probably did sort of fall into some traps just so they could get the fucking thing out. I'm sure they felt like they were just taking too long. But I don't know. I just, the whole way it came together, and I didn't know any of the history of it when I listened to it the first time all those years ago. So I was like, oh my God, where's it going next? And the evolution in the vocals too. It's it comes out with every album, but this one I think was I think I agree with them. It is a turning point, especially when it comes to the vocals. It no longer feels like he's trying to emulate Trent Reznor, but with a stick up his ass. He's absolutely
I'm really excited
doing his own thing. Yeah,
I'm excited because what I now know straight away from this point is not one of us is going to have the same list.
Yeah.
No. So, at this point now, all fucking bets are off, ladies. Because that's what you come here for. You come here for, ultimately, one of us telling the other person they're a cunt. so
fight to the death.
If you hang around long enough,
to Scotland to get killed by that dude with the long hair.
Yeah. Three-way
You'll not be
match
wearing that by then. You'll not be wearing that by then. Although I do just want him to start.
I'm going to do it
all the
just
time
to
now. I'm
you.
used to it now. See, when you take it off, I'm not going to like this. I'm not going to like it.
It suits you so well. You look like a proud lion, It's great. That might be able to sell you some drugs from the back of his van.
Yeah. I mean, my neck is literally sweating buckets right now, but
what did I say before we recorded?
Still worth it.
There's a turning point. We've done this. I don't know how many times we've warped. Like me and Dave used to do. Remember when we did the live? We decided we were going to do a live radio show for Rock and Reels. Yeah. We both put on those "See You Jimmy" hats.
Yeah.
And within 5 minutes, I felt like my scalp was on fire. I was ready to do the ice bucket challenge to cool it fucking down. So I love it. I absolutely love it. Dave doesn't look like. I mean, he does look like a proud lion if that proud lion was also homeless. So, you know what I mean? Then yes.
What was it you said before the thing? Party in the back and homeless in the front.
Yeah, he's got a weird mullet. He's party in the back and homeless in the front.
No, Zuki, that is his real hair. He has had it for what looks like about 50,000 years.
Grew it myself.
Yeah. It's been passed down through generations.
Spared no expense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look at it. I'm worth
it.
It
does look like a caveman slaughtered a mammoth.
Look at that mane. Look at it.
I mean, it is amazing what a PayPal account, £3 in an eBay account will get you these days.
OnlyFans, I'm coming. Check me out. I'm not coming like that. I mean, I'm coming to OnlyFans.
Well, it's allowed to, like I was saying off air, OnlyFans reversed. their decision to remove adult content from their service.
Oh, it just got
So
warmer in here.
You want to come on there, you can come as much as you want.
Oh
All I'm
my
going to say
God.
is it's easier to come out of natural hair than it is synthetic hair. So
Right. Okay.
use a toothbrush.
Noted.
Moving swiftly on.
I even grossed myself out there.
Oh.
Stringy. Let's keep going here. What did they do after Ironworks,
Well,
David? If you
after-
see Seaman,
Oh, after Ironworks,
Jesus Christ.
in 2009, Sharon left the band, and he was replaced by Billy Reimer on drums. Dillinger Escape Plan played Australia, where they joined Nine Inch Nails on stage during the Soundwave 2009 festival, helping them
this is the
perform.
infamous one where Trent Reznor stood on stage and
Yep.
asked how he was like, did they? Because he had a big battle with the record label in Australia, and I love this clip where he basically asked how much they were selling Year Zero for in Australia, and I think it was like 25 Australian dollars, which I think is, once again, without knowing the exchange rate, is expensive for an album. And he'd had a massive verbal spat with, I think it was Interscope at the time, Interscope Australia, to get them to put the price down to a more manageable price. And this was when he was starting to release stuff for you to use, like instrumental versions of these songs, all the loops and samples, so you could create your own remixes. And it's a great clip. You'll see it once again, YouTube it, and he's standing on stage. He's like, "That did they take the price down? Did they?" And you can hear people in the crowd go, "No." And he's like, "Well, you know what that means? Steal away, and steal some more. Go online and download that motherfucker, because it's the only way the record label will listen."
Yep.
So there you are. You're Trent Reznor, and you can stand on stage and tell a full audience at a festival to steal your album illegally as a way to fuck over the record label. That is why he will always be my fave.
Yep. And strangely enough, right after that, the Dillinger Escape Plan announced their departure from Relapse Records. Shocker.
Weird.
See?
Who
That was
knew
the-
that
those
was going to
missing
come?
sale. I know. Those missing sales really pissed them off, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, 5,000 albums to a band like Dillinger is the difference between getting a Big Mac or just a cheeseburger, Dave.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I want the Big Mac today. What do you mean
want
I
the Big
didn't
Mac.
sell those extra 5? Fuck you, record label. Also, that performance of Wish is fucking amazing.
Oh,
Google it.
Is it not?
So good. Although it does seem like Trent Reznor is on stage twice. Except a slightly younger, more buff, more attractive version of Trent Reznor. I would shag Greg, I'm just saying. Like,
Big
he
Greg.
would get it. He's a fucking handsome, ruggish,
But he's
dashing
hung as well.
chap.
Absolutely hung.
I had no doubt in my mind that line
Didn't
was
his
going to
knees.
come out of your mouth today.
What? That he was hung, or I would shag him?
That
Which
that
one?
you shot him.
Yeah,
I knew it.
100%. He's an attractive. I am comfortable enough in my own skin where I can say that man is shaggable. And I'm saying that Greg Pucciato, if that's how you pronounce his surname, I don't give a fuck. I know his first name, and that's all that matters. Greg would get it.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm with Dave on this one. It's probably a big old hog that touches his kneecap.
Yeah.
Shaghung is my OnlyFans name. But what he's talking about is a really fluffy carpet he's got hung up in his back garden to beat the dust out of.
Yeah.
I want to
Big
see
Greg.
Big Greg's Pucciato. You know.
I want to say you'd probably be receiving in that scenario.
Oh, I don't care.
You know, I imagine
I
he's
don't
one that
care.
would be given.
Duncan is...
I think I'm taller than him though. That might be awkward. You don't want to look down to the guy that's giving you it. You know what I mean? You wanna look up. That's why I hang around with you, Dave.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's the dynamic of our friendship. That's why you're taller than me. So there we go.
Aye. So, moving on.
Let's segue this one to option paralysis, which is the
Yes.
situation we're in right now.
After,
To give or receive to Greg Pucciato, option paralysis.
After being dissatisfied with the music industry and music media, Ben Wyman decided to
spoke to
create. Yes, Ben Wyman decided to create his independent record label, Party Smasher Incorporated to release their 4th studio album. The band released said album on March 22nd, 2010 through Party Smasher in partnership with Season of Mist. And Option Paralysis was confirmed as the title of the new album. And Pucciato noted that Option Paralysis was the toughest album the group and himself had ever written. So, Option Paralysis, gents, 2010. What we're thinking? What we're thinking about this one?
This one went up for me.
Yeah.
Like, because I remember
Agree.
when this came out and being relatively nonplussed with it. Like, I enjoyed it. I've listened to it a couple of times, but never ever went back to it.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big selling point was Farewell Mona Lisa, which I think
Yeah.
was the big single from this one. Which, once again, is the opening track, so you know what that means. Book to the boss, like right from the off, Dillinger giving no fucks. But what I really liked about it overall is the issues I have with their previous release are for the most part worked out here.
Yeah.
So what you are getting instead is you're getting all
Raven,
those.
what, you're just gifting these subs away like a mad person. Thank you. Carry on.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Very
but
good thing.
Right, that's cool.
Yeah.
Then keep up the good work, Raven. I kind of thought that for a second there it was like
They've
like
gifted
Kyle.
167 channel subscriptions in the history of the channel so far. That's nuts. That's £5 a subscription.
I like it.
Yeah.
But it sounded for a second like you were a used car salesman.
Yeah.
One of these guys like Crazy Kyle's parking lot, and you were like that. You know, all my cars have to go this weekend. And then people started coming in and taking the cars away. And you were like, I didn't mean all the cars.
I didn't mean for free.
What we doing here? Like, I can't have like, that's just kind of.
I
Anyway,
just slapped the roof of the car and I'm like, you can fit so many subs in this bad boy.
You can fit a body in the boot. Which is the only way I'll buy a car. That's the
Absolutely.
prerequisite.
That's off the
So, yeah,
record.
the big selling point for me on this one on the re-listen is one, I think the production is fucking great. This to me is the one where I have really liked all the different productions on the other one, but from this point onwards, it feels like they've just found that like perfect level of what they should be doing. I think it's surprisingly heavy in parts.
Yeah.
The songwriting is up there with their best. Vocally, he's just as vicious on this one this far in, but I think he's got some of his best melodies are on here. And just the overall listen, this is an album that totally flew in for me. Like, totally flew in. And I was surprised because, like I say, this is the one that I remember it coming out. I remember listening and going, that's really cool. This machine's back on. So, I'm surprisingly high on this one. Once again, just kind of overturning the apple cart, so to speak. What about yourself, Kyle?
I don't know about this album, man. It's just not as good as Ironworks. I'm sorry.
Kyle.
It's just not. No, I'm kidding. It's fucking.
Yeah, just let me flick this here out of the way.
Yeah. Let me just fucking.
Kyle.
Come on, man. No, I'm joking. It's
Okay,
I
that's
did.
fine.
I absolutely could not be. I don't know when it came out. What was I doing in 2010? Because I think I just moved to Norway, right? And I think this came out, and I was just too busy in my life to really give it the attention it deserved when it came out. So I came back to it like a year or so afterwards, and I was like, why have I been ignoring this album for so long?
It's difficult to listen to albums when you're burning churches, Kyle.
I know, right? Especially when you're hiding from the police. Also, it's only got about 100 people in it. They know which ones are the church burners. And they're like, they can just listen out the window of the police headquarters in Oslo and go like, Dillinger Escape Plan, Kyle's over there, right?
There's only one man that walks like that. That's Kyle.
Sexy Kyle.
Sashaying up there to burn that.
That's my
church. Look at-
Viking
look at-
name, is it? Sexy
Yeah, it's like-
Kyle.
Sexy Kyle. Like, when the police come to read your rights, when the police read your rights in Norway, they ask you if you want fries with that shake.
And I always say yes.
Yeah.
Because the one police guy, he doubles as the guy at McDonald's. So.
Oh man, shots fired against Norway. We were saying
2010.
2010.
Yep.
Yeah, I just moved here, so
Oh, young, hung, and fully
dick. Yeah.
Chewing
Dillinger.
gum. I don't know.
Chewing gum.
Full of Dillinger albums that I haven't listened to yet.
Yeah. How does that work?
I have
I'm not
no
a
idea.
time traveler. I'm a country hopper. It's a slight difference.
Oh, I thought Norway. Right, I thought like when you went to Norway, you went back a couple of years, but the albums were still out, so you had some stuff to get. Now I'll let you on. I'm having a laugh. I'm
having a laugh. I don't really believe in time travel, I swear.
Oh man, I can't even remember where we're going with this.
No idea. No clue. I've lost it totally. I had a train of thought and it's just been derailed. It's gone back into the station.
Let him go, Duncan. Just let him go. Let him go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not in that text chat. And I see that. I'll just interrupt him. You know what I'm like.
Yeah,
Dave.
I liked this album before, but after giving it like repeat listens over the last couple of weeks, I like it even more now.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Listening to it again now, I'm definitely more on board with it.
Yeah.
This one is a grower and not a shower.
Exactly.
Penis analogy.
Um,
I like how you got the words penis and anal in the same sentence.
You're welcome. It's not easy to do that. It's not easy.
No, not at all. I think this one was definitely. I think you could definitely hear a step up in the songwriting, and it was also the first album with Billy Reimer on drums, who, in my opinion, is just an absolute beast behind the kit.
He's pretty impressive.
Yeah. This was actually their longest album at this point in their career. Like 41 minutes or something like that?
A whopping 41 minutes.
I know. Whopping.
Like, you think about that now, a couple of the albums we've listened to this year are over an hour.
I know. Yeah.
And not worth the hour.
And not worth the hour. Think about everything you get in this album.
Yeah.
I mean, it has song titles like Gold Teeth on a Bum.
Amazing.
Which, I mean, I know that they mean like a homeless person, like Dave right now, rocking that look.
Coming from
But
the
to
UK,
me-
it means something totally different.
To me, what I had this image of is two arse cheeks with a set of gold false teeth in between the cheeks. Like, so kind of doing an Ace Ventura, I want to ask you a question. You know, like that. And that just tickles me pink. Tickled me pink.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah.
Dave, what did you think?
I think, like, instead of like a lot of the kind of short, like kind of blips and glitches heard on Ironworks, on this album, I think you hear the band taking a bigger stride into creating just like bigger tracks, big kind of colossal tracks, rather than having these like tracks that kind of flash by quickly. They create these like menacing but really stunning like soundscapes. Tracks like Gold Teeth on a Bum or Widower, it's an amazing track title. They kind of lean more into these kind of open, more kind of free flowing structures, rather than just getting hit with all these kind of these riffs. I think this is where Greg came into his own for me personally. I think there are definitely less moments on this album where he comes across like Mike Patton, and I think he delivers something more individual and more kind of versatile. And the riffs on this, my God, the riffs on this are unreal. Tracks like Good Neighbor and Crystal Morning are just overflowing with these huge riffs. I think, like, it's safe to say Farewell Mona Lisa is, for me, it's a particular highlight, you know, on this album. It's a track they play pretty much in every live set. I do love Widower as well, though. It's such a kind of different type of track for Dillinger, and this like almost does land into kind of like ballad territory, but I think they really pull this off brilliantly on the album. It feels, for me, this felt like a more kind of breathable, more kind of organic album than previous releases. I think Option Paralysis kind of lies comfortably between like Calculating Infinity's like kind of never-ending kind of onslaught and the kind of Ironworks pop-minded hooks. I think the balance is great on this one and the delivery is spot on. Yeah, it was definitely a kind of step up for me on this album.
Nice.
Option Paralysis, 2010. After that, when they were playing the California Metal Fest in 2012, a mystery guitar player was noticed filling in for former rhythm guitarist Jeff Tuttle, who had left the band in August. A couple of weeks later, Jeff Wyman announced that the mystery guitar player was James Love, who had played with the band briefly while they toured in support of their album Miss Machine. On February 18th, 2013, the band announced the title of their new album, One of Us Is the Killer.
Such a great name for. Oh, this is everything I like. Sorry, I'm going to get geeky here, right? Like I, for those that don't know, I'm a lover of cinema, Dave. Lover of cinema.
Yeah.
But I like specifically grew up with murder mysteries. So the idea like of an album titled "One of Us Is a Killer," which is the central premise of any kind of murder mystery kind of novel thing, just kind of gets me giddy, and I'm like that. Oh, they're being a bit playful with the title, because all the other ones are like, you know, the titles that evoke some sort of, you need to fix that here, dude. Well, I don't know what's going on right now, but I like none of it.
Michael Jackson here.
Like you are, like, yeah, that's exactly how you want to look.
Yeah, if Michael Jackson lived in a caravan.
Yeah. Yes.
Then yeah,
you want to look like Michael Jackson. Right, go and do something with it. Anything. I can't talk seriously if you're gonna like. It's a fucking flock of seagulls over there. What is happening?
There we go.
That's terrible. It's fucking horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. Yeah. So, to me, I was like, all the other albums
Just
have.
put it away.
It's terrible.
I
Terrible.
can't look at it.
Yeah. Tuck it away. Flip it underneath your headphones.
Okay.
No, don't quiff it. Oh, what you doing? It's a fashion disaster.
Is that any better?
No.
No.
That's
Cool.
Cameron Diaz in that one movie, right?
Yeah, that's right.
There's something about
100%.
Davey.
Oh, Jesus.
Something about Davey. Franks and Beans. Anyway, yeah. So like, this is that is even worse, and now looks like you've got a hairy penis growing out your forehead.
Yeah.
We need to fix everything that's going on right now. I can't. There's no way I can talk seriously about it when you look like that. I may actually have to physically cover up the camera so I don't see you. So like all the other titles for all the other albums.
Every time you turn your head, it's like
kind of it's like
Fucking unicorn.
like an angry duck.
It looks like it like Dave's rocking the Wigosaurus Rex look. You know what I mean? Spared no expense. So all their other albums are like the titles of them are kind of high concept, kind of mathematical, you know, all that sort of stuff. And then you come back but One of Us Is a Killer. Nice simple name for an album.
Yeah.
Like for the most part, all the song titles nice and simple. Run length for this one is a little bit shorter than the previous one, and I remember when they announced it, I remember hearing the single for it, the lead single, which One of Us Is a Killer, and like absolutely loving what I heard, and I was so excited for this album to come out, like genuinely giddy, because this is Dillinger coming back. I wasn't too high on the previous one when I heard it at that time. Let's see if we're going to get what version of Dillinger Escape Plan shows up on this album. And it turns out a very accomplished version of Dillinger Escape Plan showed up. Turns out they're like a fine wine, Dave. Like the longer they go, the better their songwriting gets.
Yeah.
It's a really fucking good album, this.
It is. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah. I played the absolute shit out of this album when it came out. And for me, listening to it again now, it could be like one of their most accessible albums.
Agreed.
It's similar to Miss Machine in a way. It's probably one of the albums that's easiest to start with. Every song feels like it has like its own identity, and it's like they're crammed full of really good ideas. There's just this kind of like fantastic balance between classic kind of Dillinger mathcore and just hooky songwriting. The riffs are still like challenging and crazy enough, but the choruses on this album are massive. And Billy Reimer again, his drumming on this is just next level. A lot of the kind of the critics for this album accused it of being Dillinger by the numbers.
Assholes.
Yeah.
Because all those critics can go out and write songs like Dillinger Escape Plan, you know what I mean? By the numbers. What fucking numbers?
So easy to write a Dillinger Escape Plan song.
Yeah,
all
like,
you have
I'll
to
tell you
do
what-
is be that band.
Yeah, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll all sit down with a set of dice. We'll roll things out and say, now play this segment in 17.5. Go for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
fucking cunts.
Dickheads.
Cunts.
I'd say this is
Hang
it's
on a minute,
actually more of a
17.5 isn't possible. Shut up, Carl. Fucking nerd.
Well, I was hoping that someone would point out the obvious trap that I laid. And Kyle did. Played right into my plan. Watch me reel them in, Dave. Just put this kettle on the wall.
I'd say this is more more of a kind of refined and kind of like perfected style. I think it kind of better kind of encapsulates the core sound they were chasing on Option Paralysis. Some of the tracks on this are as chaotic as you'd expect. You know, really like kind of grinding riffs alongside Ben Wingman's kind of intricate guitar work, and like Greg's really like scathing tone. But I feel like they almost like exist to build up tension for the more kind of emotional routes that the album takes. Tracks like Prancer and Magic That I Held You Prisoner, they just kind of grab you by the throat and then hit you with everything they've got technically. But after the song's going to run through like the kind of mathy kind of exercises of kind of like Dillinger doing what they do best, they carefully kind of slows down into a kind of controllable level, and then Greg shows off some of the kind of the melodies he's got, and some of the melodies on this are some of the best he's ever written. I think this is like him just absolutely hitting his stride on this album.
He's got a ridiculous range.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
As a vocalist, you know what I mean? Like some of the higher notes he hits, specifically on One of Us Is the Killer, where he's hitting these soaring notes with ease.
Yeah.
And then he's switching from that tone to that absolutely fucking brutal scream that he's got, as if it's like nothing at all, like effortlessly. He genuinely is like one of the high talents in the metal scene, and I think that's why I've like with interest followed him. Every project that guy's done, I've been like, oh, I'm going to check this out. You know, like just like instinctively, let's check this out, because you know, if he's involved with it, it's going to be interesting and it's going to be well written
for sure,
and it shows here, man.
Yeah, I think this is like the perfect combination of all the Dillinger elements on this album. I think they nail the balance on this. Some of their best material, I think, personally. Yeah, One of Us the Killer. Bitch.
One of us is the killer. The dream killer. But it ain't.
Oh no!
No.
Oh no! Don't do it! Is he gonna do that?
I don't know. Is he gonna do?
He's just gonna hold us to.
Whatever. No, I agree with you guys.
Like
this is one of the best. This is absolutely one of. I don't understand why they said it was Dillinger by the Numbers. It's just like
because
what
they're
the
arseholes.
Yeah, what the fuck? Critics in 2013 were fucks.
For sure.
And they
Like Dillinger by the Numbers is still better than like 90% of what is passing for mainstream like metal music at the moment.
I know.
But it's not.
I agree, Raven. I mean, all three of us can count ourselves as music critics. We review albums, give our opinions. But fuck us too. Fuck them all. All bands are just doing. All bands are just doing what they do and doing what they love, and who gives a fuck about anybody's opinion? I don't agree.
It's like saying, it's a band who have defined their sound playing their sound.
I know.
As if that's a negative thing.
Yeah.
It's like saying Meshuggah's last album was Meshuggah by the Numbers. It's like, that's what they do, you fucks!
It's so bizarre. It's so bizarre that anyone would use that as a criticism.
I know. It's such a good album. It does take the best parts of all of Dillinger have ever done and puts it all into one, gets rid of the shit, and just amps it up. And I love that about this album. I wouldn't say it's predictable. It's not. I don't think it's unpredictable as Ironworks was. It doesn't have that kind of like crazy disjointed jazz feel, I guess. But oh hey, Electric Kitty's here. How you doing? Anyway,
Hi.
But it's just got all the best parts of Dillinger rolled into one, and the production is just another step up. The vocal evolution is another step up. The riffs are fucking just destroy your face, and yeah, what more can you say about it except fuck the critics? I wish that was the name of their last album.
Yeah. So that was One of Us Is the Killer from 2013. After that, in May 2015, Kevin Andreassian, a former member of New Jersey progressive metal band Knife the Glitter and
Great name.
former guitar student of Ben Wyman, became the new rhythm guitarist of the band, replacing James Love.
The student is now the master.
Yeah, I remember when this happened, actually. I remember reading about this. In July...
Seamus is like, fuck the critics. Anyway, visit Metal Epidemic.
I do like the idea of like someone like a Ben Wyman like sitting there like essentially doing guitar lessons but essentially training up someone who can get in the band.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which they're paying for because it's guitar lessons, so they're paying to be in the band.
Yeah.
Kind of love that. That's amazing.
Totally. In July 2015, Wyman announced during an Australian interview that the band would return to the studio in November to record the follow-up to One of Us Is the Killer. In an interview with Noisy in 2016, Wyman said the Dillinger Escape Plan would stop performing, with Pucciato later saying, "We're breaking up." Pucciato was quoted saying that the band still enjoyed writing, recording and performing together, but we started to reach what we felt was a thematic conclusion to our band. Comparing the decision to a filmmaker who enjoys the current film he is creating but cannot continue the process indefinitely. Wyman said, "We're going to do the cycle for this album, and that's it." Disassociation was released on October 14th, 2016 through Party Smasher in partnership with Cookin' Vinyl. So, the final album from Dillinger Escape Plan.
I love this, by the way. More bands should do this.
Just stop.
Yeah, once they've done it, like once
You know which
they've
band should
achieved-
fucking do this? Is Iron fucking Maiden.
Yes.
Seriously,
Yes,
if they'd have done this 20
amen.
goddamn years ago, they'd have.
Amen.
They probably would have absolutely done better than they're doing now. I mean, they're an incredible live band, but their songwriting skills are gone. They're
Yeah.
dead. Those two singles I heard, that last album or two, was just like, just stop, guys. Just stop. Just stop. You should have pulled
Once
the
again,
Dillinger
any
and just
opportunity to
fucking
bring this
quit.
up. Did you listen to that Guns N' Roses song? Holy shit. Holy shit.
Holy shit.
What was the point?
Yeah.
There is no point. That's the point.
Didn't Buckethead come out afterwards and said, I wrote those riffs? He's not in the band anymore. He's like, that's something I recorded, you motherfucker.
But yeah, I think there is a point that when you have taken things to their logical conclusion musically, as in we've experimented the most chaotic we could ever be, we've experimented the most radio friendly we can ever be, and then we've found that middle ground in between where there's a balance.
Yeah.
Once you have that kind of done, if you still want to explore music in different facets, and this is no longer as exciting as it was before, break up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
There's
I think.
so many bands that just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting the result to be different. And that's in your hands as a musician. That's in your hands. And that's kind of why I look like the balls of this band to say, you know what, we're doing this next album. This album is the last album. We're going to put everything into it. We're going to tour the world with, you know, what will be the last performances of the most chaotic version of Dillinger Escape Plan yet. And see, when it's done, and that is it. And we're going to continue doing music and all the various things that we do. But from this point onwards, that's over. And there's a bit of that, there's finality to that as well. So if you're a fan of that band, you don't have to, on some level, worry why have they not released an album in 3 years. We'll get to that stage. I do it all the time. I Google bands that I love to find out what they're fucking doing, because I haven't heard of them in a couple of years and I've listened to the album and I'm like, are they right?
That's how I
I've got a new album coming.
That's how I discovered Aliases, was because I was like, what the fuck is Sixth doing now? And nothing except for the guitarist. And I was like, oh my god, he's joined another band and it's crazy. And
I need to hear this. You know, and that's what you do. You follow it through that way. So to me, more bands should follow their example. It doesn't mean you're finishing your musical career. Also always leaves the door open, which I kind of love. I kind of love the idea that, you know,
in 6 months, Dillinger will come and say, we've got a new one.
It was written during the stressful time of COVID. So
I hope I never have to read that ever again.
I mean, you think of it, because they were still all relatively young when they split up as well. Yeah. I mean, they were like in their 30s. So if you imagine I actually think Greg Pucciato might be, he's either our age or a couple of years younger, Dave. So, I mean, you can imagine 2026 on the 10-year anniversary of Disassociation kind of no longer being there, that band could very easily reform, do like a series of live shows on their 10th anniversary, maybe do an EP or whatever they want to do. See if they never return to it, that's fine as well.
Yeah.
Like the way I look at it is, and it's why I was so excited that this one won out on the poll, is you get to follow the entire story arc of Dillinger Escape Plan, as opposed to when we finished our Stained one, talking about how they were about to go on tour with Korn and release a live album.
I feel sick.
It's been a while. They're a brand new drug for your brain. So yeah, so I'd like, as they set up, I just think more bands should do this.
Yeah, I agree.
Back to you, Dave.
So disassociation, the Swan Song from Dillinger. I think this one, you could hear the kind of experimentation on this album is much stronger than on a lot of the previous albums. There's almost this like kind of frantic like Aphex Twin or Square Pusher style kind of like electronica to it. You can hear it on tracks like Frantic. The guitar work also gets even crazier, like more complex and unpredictable. It's probably their, like next to Calculating Infinity, it's probably their most kind of unhinged. The Dillinger Escape Plan, they've always had like built a reputation on being surgically kind of precise in their performances and their recordings. And while like this hasn't been compromised, that there is a clear kind of like feeling or sense of danger on this, especially from Greg. I think his vocal performance on this album is the kind of most vulnerable it's ever sounded. But when he lets rip, like with his kind of like trademark like venom, everything just sounds like kind of amplified to 11. Like, you know, like he's really kind of losing control, but like in a good way. I kind of like the kind of glitchy kind of electronica on this album.
Love it, absolutely love it. More bands that do this sort of music should utilize that, because it's the perfect accompaniment to that style, is putting in like glitchy electronics. And they had experimented, but it was usually as ways to close out songs. Like, we don't have a definite finish to this song, so let's do the glitch effect. Because Kyle doesn't like a fade out and we don't want to upset him. So, you know what I mean? It's that way.
Plus, they've done that. They've done the Aphex Twin Come to Daddy as well. So
it's obvious it's an interest for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have such an eclectic music taste anyway, which is evident. Interesting enough, when you were talking about that, we last year finally got our hands on the solo album by Greg Puciato, and there are kind of almost, maybe not necessarily on the technical disjointed level, but there are clear influences that he has a strong steer in this last release.
Definitely.
Because they carry over into that solo album.
It's
Which
really
I think
hard to do that glitchy stuff as well. It's like everything they do is super fucking difficult. Like the drum parts are horrendous, the bass parts are crazy, the guitar parts are just like, how do you have enough fingers to play that? And then they come out with the glitchy synth stuff, and it's still really difficult shit to do to make it sound good and work, especially in a metal context, especially in a chaotic metal context like Dillinger do. So for them to bring all that in and make it work as effortlessly as they have done on this album blows my mind still. It's 5 years later and I'm still just like...
Yeah, they'd obviously like they toyed with this sort of stuff before, but I think on this album it was like the most kind of fleshed out and kind of satisfying that I'd ever sounded. Same with the jazz stuff though. There used to be like they'd used bits and pieces of that on previous albums, but on this album it felt like their most kind of accomplished attempt at it. Especially
if you go back and listen to Under the Running Board, which is technically their first release, there are whole sections in there that are jazz. It's like jazz fusion metal, and whilst they take
done
that
well,
ethos,
Slipknot.
But actually like segments where it's a bit more clean and it's a bit more like those like sections where you can hear they are clearly super accomplished and well knowledgeable in the genres.
What I liked about that especially was they did these super really fast bits. It was all clean and it sounded really good, even though it was like they just I mean, it almost sounded like they forgot to hit the pedal, but they didn't, and it just sounded great. And wow.
And it's like interesting that because that's technically their first release. It's when they're kind of fucking around with stuff, and then you bookend it here, and those influences come full circle back into it. it's such a rewarding listen in that capacity. It really does feel like the perfect like close. It's the perfect end chapter.
Yeah.
Like, it's the sort of end chapter that Stephen King wouldn't write. You know what I mean? Because he can't write an ending in a book. That was a joke, and I forgot I wasn't on my movie show. I was on a metal show, so that bombed. Lead balloon time.
Oh no, I got it.
Give me a second. Give me a second till I put my comment here. There we go. Shots fired. But it's like to me that there's a lot of this feels like it's like a greatest hits at Dillinger, but there's a sense of urgency where they're not replicating anything. It's like they've taken those ideas, and in a way where I'm like, Ironworks feels like they've taken all these ideas from this machine and they've just built songs around them. Actually, kind of feels like they've looked back over their entire back catalogue and looked at all their influences and everything they've done, and then brought it to this album. Like there's such a clear through line of every listen on this last one here, which it's so difficult to do when you've removed yourself over time from Calculated Infinity to sit down and hear segments of this where you're getting slapped in the face with what feels like Calculated Infinity era guitar work, the jazz stuff from the original stuff, the glitchy electronics from something like an Ironworks or a Miss Machine, the hooky, catchy melodies from something like One of Us Is a Killer. Like, it's all in here. And that, to me, is why, like, at the end of this album, what do you do if you're Dillinger Escape Plan? You hang it up.
Yeah.
There's nowhere left to go.
No.
Without retreading steps or going somewhere completely else.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And being called by the numbers.
Like, interestingly enough, if memory serves, critics stunk themselves over this one though. Like, they were all about this. They were all about, oh, don't leave us, Dillinger. Please don't go away. We love you.
Need you.
Yeah, we're like, oh, really? What was that you said about the previous album? Cunts. So
what's kind of funny about this is though there's no like real like radio friendly kind of moments on this. There's no like black bubblegum or nothing's funny, but it's still weirdly kind of accessible at the same time. And I think, as you said, it's the one that kind of started to remind me a little bit of the Black Queen at times.
Yeah.
Not like musically, but like on a kind of ambient and kind of emotional level, it put me in mind of that project a lot. Especially
Which
that last
makes
track.
sense. Yeah,
Yeah, the last track.
makes sense.
Nothing to Forget is like kind of equal parts kind of bleak and kind of beautiful, but that kind of reminded me of the Black Queen.
Because he was doing that at this point, wasn't he? He'd already started doing Black Queen.
I think so.
I've got a feeling that he was doing that kind of in between. So that once again makes sense to me that those influences would start to bleed into to what you're doing with your main band. So,
but the only criticism I have of this album is that I wasn't the biggest fan of the production on this one.
It's all right. It's not as good as the previous album.
It's a wee bit thin in places, I feel, for me personally.
I'll agree with that one, to be honest.
Yeah. But that aside, I think it's an admirable kind of final act from like a band that were hugely influential and important to the genre. I think it's maybe not as like hook laden as some of the albums from the past, but still like for to have this as your final album before you bow out. It's pretty fucking awesome.
It does feel like I say, it's that bookend thing that their first album is one of the least accessible albums written, and the last album is like a more refined version of that.
Yeah.
It's a more refined version of that with more melody, but it's still not like you say. It has a commercial sound to it, but it's hard to point at any one song here and say, you know, this is the lead single, this is the banger that will get people buying the album. You're buying the album because it's a Dillinger Escape album.
Yeah.
You're not buying it for the song, which I kind of love about them, which is why you shouldn't listen to #critics when they talk about anything, and also why why that move from Relapse makes sense. If Relapse are releasing the 2 songs on that album, which are not representative of the album as a whole, there's a part of me that feels like maybe the label wants something that the band doesn't want to do. Overall, you know what I mean? And that's not to, like Sick Bubblegum's Rob Zombie, isn't it? Black Bubblegum and Milk Lizard are 2 great songs in their own rights, but it just does kind of feel like Relapse, which once again are the fucking record label that has like bands like fucking Mastodon and shit, like Remission era Mastodon are the ones that are looking for like singles. But there is like
this one was released on their own label, Seamus.
Yeah, this one's on their own one at this point. So
Party Smasher Records.
Which is such like, because I said best name for a song ever. Name your record label after that. So yeah, it does. You feel like you've come full circle, so to speak. You've went on that journey with them, and then you look at the timeline as well. They're a band who are officially active with Greg as the vocalist for what, 14 years? 14 years and 5 albums with him in it.
Yep.
And then you look at those 5 albums and you're like, yeah, to me that makes sense. At that point, like I say, at the end of this album, where do you go for your Dillinger Escape Plan? There isn't really much room. You've experimented. You've kind of, you've written all you can do. You've explored all those dark territories. You've experimented as much as you can. So at that point, let's not release a watered down version of that. Let's go off and do other exciting projects, which, like I said before, they're doing just now.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
I love that about this album. It really just does say we are who we are, and this is the end. But in a really satisfying way. You don't get sad at the end of it, going, "Oh my god, I'm never going to hear anything else. What more can they do?" It's like, no, they've done everything they can. This is fucking amazing. Let's just enjoy it because it's here. I really love that about this album. It just came through in almost every song. And yeah, production could have been better, but at least it wasn't studio fucked to death. Let's put it that way. Which is one thing I like about Dillinger. They never did that. Even though they have all of the glitchy, programmed drums and all this stuff, they never, ever, ever went and said, yeah, we need time alignment. And
if ever there was a band that would probably could take the easy way out and benefit from it, it would be this band. And I think that goes to show the level of musicianship all the way through, with all the lineup changes. Like Dave's mentioned them all the way through, to still retain a cohesive, consistent sound.
Yeah.
Like there's like, you can obviously, from a drummer's perspective, I dare say you'll sit and you'll hear changes in between drummers, but I can't imagine it's ever at a point where you're like, oh, he is like a ridiculously better drummer than the previous album. No. You know what I mean? No, it's always on a high level, and I think that's incredible for them to have that. It's probably worth saying in the background, for those that want to be completists, they did release 3 EPs. One of them was a split EP with Nora, which is okay. I mean, it's fine for what it is. They released the Plagiarism EP, which is an EP full of covers, including Wish from 9 Inch Nails and Jesus Christ Pose. Their version of Jesus Christ Pose is fucking amazing. Yeah, it really is. Absolutely love it. And I think they have do not have a third one as well.
Yeah,
a third EP?
It was re-released. It was reissued, wasn't it?
That's right. Is that Irony as a Red Scene?
Yeah,
that's the Mike Patton one.
Yeah, which is the one with Mike Patton, which I really like. See, that there's a weird world, like a split timeline where Mike Patton fronts the Dillinger Escape Plan. And they don't sound like Miss Machine doesn't sound like Miss Machine because of that, and they retain that kind of calculating infinity sound for an album, 2 albums, and then Mike Patton loses interest, and then that band splits up.
I don't like this universe. Take me home.
Yeah, that's literally like because Mike Patton like changes fucking projects, like changes underwear. You know what I mean? He really does.
The place, isn't
he? He really is, and I think that there's a part where that might have bore fruit further, and I mean, it would have been interesting to listen to, but at the same time, I kind of like the direction they went. So yeah,
see you later,
bye. So I believe this is where Dave brings us home.
Yeah, just to finish off the journey.
And what a journey it's been.
On February 12, 2017, during their European farewell tour, the Dillinger Escape Plan was involved in a vehicle crash after a truck collided with their bus near Radomsko in Poland. Yeah. The truck driver, who ended up being seriously wounded, pled guilty to falling asleep while driving. 13 people in all were injured, but the band members were not gravely hurt. Pugiato tore a quadriceps. He's got so many muscles, man.
He was probably just flexing.
Yeah, probably. Which he did not treat immediately, and then later revealed that he began to suffer from serious mental health issues during this tour. including panic disorder and hypochondria, but following the accident, his symptoms became almost unlivable and had to receive treatment. Fans raised over $20,000 in a week to the band following the crash. The band's final show took place at Terminal 5 in New York City on December 29th, 2017, with Code Orange and Daughters as support acts. The band also played 2 additional shows on the 27th and 28th of December before the final show. For the first show, the band announced that they would be joined by Mike Patton to perform their collaborative EP, Irony is a Dead Scene, and were supported by Godmother. On the December 28th show, the band was joined on stage by original frontman Dimitri Minakakis, and he performed several early Dillinger Escape Plan songs. Minakakis also sang with Pucciato during the encore performance of 43% Burnt.
It's your encore song.
I know.
You just played an hour and a half set and then you go into that as your encore.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah. Minakakis appeared again on the last night, whereas former guitarist Brian Benoit joined them for parts of the December 27th and 28th shows. Original bassist Adam Dahl joined as well for the final night, playing keyboards on their last song, Disassociation. And that's when it came to an end. So, we have now discussed the albums of the Dillinger Escape Plan. Now we have one final task. We have to now pick an order from least favourite to favourite. From 6 to 1.
Yep.
This is when shit gets real. So.
You know what?
What?
I think I'm going to quit the podcast.
It would be really funny if the feed just went out right now.
Yeah.
This is the part where we start to call each other cunts.
Yeah.
This is that moment. So.
Starry, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, you snuck in quietly. I mean, yes, carry on. Shh, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
You're just in time for the countdown of Dillinger Escape Plan albums from least favourite to favourite. So, hello. Number 6 on the lists. Here we go. Anyone want to start, or you want me to start?
Do you want to go rock, paper, scissors? I think it's like a Twitch tradition at this point.
It kind of does. It kind of does. Let's do it.
Oh,
Right.
Get your
On the
hands
count
out.
of 3. On the count of 3.
Here we go. Are you ready, gents? Here we go.
Yep.
And 1, 2. Oh, sorry, it's 3, 2, 1, isn't it? Sorry, I've
Yeah.
got it fucked
Is
up.
it on
I fucked
one?
up already. On 1.
Yep.
3, 2, 1.
All right, it's 3 scissors. I like where this is going. I like where this is going. It's sexy. Right.
Okay.
Start again.
Once again. 3, 2, 1.
Did we all do it again? This is what happened last time. I swear to God, this is what happened last time. Right, let's fucking do it again. Right.
3, 2, 1. Oh, we've all went for something different here.
Right. So I technically beat Dave, but Kyle technically beats me, which means Kyle goes last. You technically beat Kyle. I'll go first. I'll go first. Fuck it. I'll go first. Paper shite. So it's the worst one. I don't know why I picked it. It's like being into Pokemon and picking a Squirtle. I mean, it makes no sense at all. Right.
Just by the name of it, it sounds like a bad choice.
Yeah, well, don't go on Pornhub and type in Squirtle if you know what I mean. Right. It's a video you don't. Well, maybe you do. I don't know. Just wear a raincoat first. Anyway, get some plastic sheets down. It breaks my heart to do this because I didn't realise anyone was going to be as high as Kyle was on this one. And number 6 for me is Ironworks, which surprises the fuck out of me because 2 weeks ago when we were recording and Dave was like, on the podcast, Dave's like, by the way, Dillinger Escape Plans want to do it. I was like, that. I've got my number 1 pick. It's Ironworks, and it is the bottom now. So number 6 for me is Ironworks.
I will also come in with my number 6 as Ironworks. It's a good album. As we've said, don't have any bad albums, but for me, it just didn't feel like they were firing on all cylinders. I just think they have far better albums than this one, for me, unfortunately. Kyle, what did you cover number 6?
It's all fucking wrong.
Cunts, a pair of you.
There we go.
It feels wrong to do it because of all of the things I said about it, but I'm going to go with Dissociation.
Ooh, interesting. Interesting.
I like it a lot.
Nice. Okay, number 5.
Well, I'll tell you why I like it, because number 5 for me is Disassociation. It's weird because, like, on paper, like I said during the review, there's tons of things to kind of really enjoy about it. I think Dave hit the nail on the head. The production's just not as good as the rest, and I think that in parts weirdly mutes some of the power it should actually have.
Yeah,
and it's weird because, like, those moments where Greg is baring his soul, if the production of everything else was just that little bit crisper, I think it would amplify it a bit more. It's still an incredible... In fact, none of the 6 albums are a bad album, and I would highly recommend anyone check them out. But Disassociation for me is the one where it doesn't have as much of the benefits you get from the other releases, I personally feel.
Yeah.
You give Disassociation the Ironworks production, it's a stone cold killer. But sadly, number 5 for me.
I'll totally agree. Number 5 for me is Disassociation.
Fuck off, Dave.
Yeah.
Stop. We will diverge. You know who you look like? It's just suddenly worked out who you look like. You're like a dark-haired version of that guy who's the mean big brother in Stranger Things. You're 100% him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd buy drugs off you.
Yeah. If I maybe just drew a Moria Tash,
You're there.
probably, yeah.
I swear to God, that's what it is. I've been
It's
looking
Billy,
at
isn't
you
it?
on
Billy.
it.
Grow a
Billy,
stash for
yeah,
next
that seems
time.
right.
Do it.
Right.
I
Stash
like
and...
Yeah.
Yeah, like, listen, the way Dave's facial hair grows, see if you give him 5 minutes, it'll be there. Like, literally. But yeah, like, that's who you look like. But anyway, yeah, Disassociation's Dave. Oh, no, stop copying me, man.
Dave is Alice Cooper. Demented Raven says, funnily enough, this is actually a wig from an Alice Cooper fancy dress costume. Yeah.
I'm the opposite with stash hair. Give me 5 minutes and somehow there's less of it.
I can't grow a moustache, as evident by this fucking stream right now. I just look like I've been drinking chocolate milk and forgot to wipe.
You've got a lazy caterpillar friend, haven't you?
Just a really bad Dirty Sanchez. You know what I mean? It's been left unattended. So...
yeah, Disassociation number 5. Good songs, good finale from Dillinger, but production wasn't my favourite and kind of stopped me from enjoying it more than I should. So that's my number 5. Kyle, where are you going? Number 5.
Oh, I'm not going to be the same as you. Just out of spite, no. I'm going to go with my number 5 is Option Paralysis.
Oh, interesting.
Just, I don't know why, just enjoyed other ones more.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, that's it. I enjoyed it. I love this album, but I just enjoyed other ones more. I can't really say a bad word about any of them, really, but except for Dissociation, you shit production fucks.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Number 4, Duncan.
I now kind of feel like I'm a step behind Kyle. Number 4 for me is Option Paralysis. Yeah, I think it's a fucking great album. Definitely, to me, coming into this, that was going to be the bottom of my list, and it jumped up on that listen. I genuinely thought it surprised me at how good it actually was overall, and how much I acclimated to the sound of it. I think I think it's the dark horse of their entire back catalogue, because it's the one I never hear anyone talking about. It's the one I didn't really pay that much attention to, but this last week and a half listening to it, there's a very good chance a year down the road of listening to more Dillinger Escape Plan, it's maybe up a level. You know, it's maybe up one more point for me. I think it's as that growing power. Every time I sit down and listen to it, there's something else about it that I kind of get excited about listening to, and I don't know if that's purely because the other ones were listened to a lot more. But number 4 for me is Option Paralysis.
Interesting. Number 4 for me, this is where everything changes, is Miss Machine.
I knew you were going.
this is the album where they kind of flip from being just a kind of mathcore band to one with kind of bigger hooks and better songwriting. I just feel like I don't think they'd smoothed out all the edges on this one yet. There was a few kind of experimental moments that just didn't really work for me. But it was the start of the sound that they continued to develop over their career. Still an absolute banger in an album, but that's my number 4 is Miss Machine. Kyle?
See, this is when it starts to get fucky for me. I'm like, the differences in the albums and how good they are is so minute. It's so hard to judge them, and I feel bad and harsh doing it in any sort of order from this point on. But
yeah,
for me, I think it's One of Us is the Killer. It's number 4.
Yeah.
Zeke has subscribed for 30 freaking months. 30. My good friend Zeke from Australia. 30. The Dillinger Escape Plan was to go swimming under everything. I never knew.
30, which is Dave's age this Saturday.
Yeah. What's up, Zeke? It's good to see you, man.
I like it.
I've got your back, Dave. I've
Isn't
got
it
your back.
fuck early where you are? Don't know.
Is that a measurement of time?
Yeah.
Fuck early.
Fuck early. Right,
So.
number 3 for me is the one that started it all. It's Calculating Infinity. Calculating Infinity for me suffers from one big issue, and we've mentioned it. It doesn't have the vocals that all the other albums have. Musically speaking, it's fucking incredible. I can't knock it down for anything. It is probably the most brutal, upfront, honest version of Dillinger Escape Plan you will ever get. But it's so full on. It's so no frills. It's so aggressive. And vocally, at times a bit muddled. I can't make out what he's singing, what his lyrics are, the same way I can do it with Greg. And it's a taste thing. Interestingly enough, I don't think, having seen them live as well, which is weird now, having forgot that he fronted them on that tour. I don't think I would like Greg on this album anyway. I think there's a rawness that suits the original vocalist on this album. But for me, I prefer my Dillinger with a bit more something else happening on the album to break things up. But it's still super high. I think it is for not only for the genre that it defined, for the influence that it made, but specifically because even listening to it now in 2021, 22 years after it came out, it still feels like it's on the cutting edge of music. It's so ahead, still ahead of its time, which I think is kind of mind blowing. So yeah, Calculate Infinity number 3 for me.
Can I just thank Raven for gifting a sub to Enigma Solivar?
Jesus.
Just
Giving them
gifting away. And apparently, it says,
like Tic Tacs.
it says on my dashboard right here, a hype train is close. So if enough people gift subs and bits and shit in the next 2 minutes, I'll play the hype train song while a hype train is happening in the chat.
Hype train.
It's like the night train, but better.
Hypier.
Hypier.
Yeah.
It's hyper. I wish I could play that song during the hype train. That'd be good.
Yeah.
They're doing a tour.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bit late. No, well, I mean, COVID happened, but I think the boat has sailed on that. I want another one to John Jay. Thank you very much, Raven. That's crazy.
You say that, but if they played live, you would go and see them.
Yeah, I would.
And you would want that song to be played, even though you've played it a million times already.
If they played anything, if they only did their entire 45-minute set playing only that song, I'd be happy.
Right, come on, let's get to this, Dave. What did you have at
number 3? This is where it gets really tough. I find that the top 3 are really hard to separate. I think they're all great albums, the 3 I've picked, for different reasons. And number 3 and 2 are so close in terms of quality. They're just being separated by a ball here, really. Number 3, I'm going to go for One of Us is the Killer. It could be one of their most accessible albums, But for me, I think this is where they really started to kind of perfect their sound. It has the craziness and it has the fretboard wizardry, but it has some of their best in terms of melodies, in my opinion. Another cracking album. As I say, it's difficult to pick at this point, but I'm going to go for One of Us Is the Killer for my number 3. Kyle, what you got?
It's so hard to choose. It really is. It's like picking your favorite kid, which for me is actually quite easy, so it's a bad analogy. Because one of them is amazing. No, I'm going to go with Ironworks for my number 3, because I love the disjointedness of it, and it just spoke to me. Like, I love all that.
Cool.
Just the whole thing, the whole package. I just love it, and I just get on with it really well. So, to each their own, right? You have 2. What do? Pick one. That's what you do.
Excellent.
It's got dark quick.
Number 2, Duncan.
Yeah, like this was the, interestingly enough, this was when we reached the halfway mark. This was the album that shot to the number 1 spot and then was ultimately bested out today when I went back through all the albums one more time to make sure I was happy. So it was sitting at 1, it dropped down to 2, and what was sitting at 2 went up to number 1. Second pick for me is One of Us Is the Killer. I think it is the super refined, much more polished version of my number 1, which you probably already guessed. It's a brilliant fucking album. It's like it's my second most played Dillinger album. So very much like Dave, when this came out, I spun it to death. We were doing rock and reels at the time, and I remember how excited we were that was coming out, and it just constantly got played, which got in the way of stuff I was supposed to listen to write reviews, which is why I very quickly stopped writing reviews. Blame Dillinger. So yeah, I think it is so close to being my favourite album. But today, on the listenings run through today, my number 1 crystallized in a way which surprised me, because it was always up near the top, but I didn't expect it to be number 1. So there we go. One of Us Is a Killer,
Nice.
number 2.
Awesome. My number 2 is Option Paralysis.
Boom.
For me, this album felt like the biggest kind of step up in terms of songwriting, and I just loved how kind of colossal the tracks sounded on this release. Greg, I think, also comes into his own. It could be one of his best performances. Probably is my favorite performance at their back catalogue for Greg. A really, really strong album, and again, between the top 2, I was kind of back and forth on it. After listening to the album, I was like, oh, should that be number 1? And I went back and forth, but I decided finally that Option Paralysis would be my number 2. Okay, Kyle, number 2.
Number 2 for me, doesn't sound like a number 2, is Calculating Infinity. I absolutely love that it just never lets up. Just, that's my kind of thing. Just in, half hour of goddamn fucking what the hell did you do, and then out. And there's no breath, there's no room to breathe, there's nothing. It makes you feel like you're about to die. And I love it, but in the best way. And it, get on with it a lot more. Even though the production isn't good, the vocals are slightly different, and blah, 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 blah. Still love it to death. So, yeah, number 2.
Nice. And then there was one. Number 1, gentlemen, Duncan.
Number 1 for me, like you've worked it out, Miss Machine. I think Miss Machine is their best album. I think it's the one that captures all the stuff that I love about Calculating Infinity. And to be honest, all the stuff that came afterwards in equal measure. So I think there's equal parts chaos to equal parts experimentation and equal parts melody. Yes, Greg himself doesn't have the fully refined voice that we'll appreciate on later recordings, but it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, his melodies are still fucking soaring and they're great. It's dark, it's twisted. It really does go places. I think of all their albums, the song placement on Miss Machine is the best. I think like all the bits that break up, all the intros that come out of the heavier segments to me, it's the best placed album in terms of where the songs come in. And I still think it's their heaviest. I really, really do. Some of the moments on it are just, and I don't know if that's because the production is a bit heavier, which probably is the case, but it's the bit to me that showed that they're not just a band that can just do that chaotic sound from start to finish all the way through an album. They're a band with range, like actual range, that could very easily, like people talk about, oh, it's just noise that you listen to. It's nothing but this. It's still fucking noise that you listen to. I mean, these songs stand the test of time, and then you listen to something like Frank Sinatra, and you're like, yeah, they do stand the test of time. Yay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do.
Like
That's the
those
funny
things.
part.
Yeah, like they do stand the test of time because they're catchy. On some level, they're surprisingly simplistic. But to be able to write something like that is difficult. And there's a weird thing where you discount the technicality of just noise. Actually, when you understand what that noise is, it's incredibly difficult to do. But it's one of the most difficult things to do. Miss Machine's the album where they managed to do that, but they also managed to first introduce actual melody and hooks in a way that I can sing all the choruses to every song on Miss Machine, and they're fucking amazing. And yeah, I off the back of this one, this particular listen today as well, I was just like, yeah, this is the perfect Dillinger album. So yeah, which has surprised me because it was probably sitting third when we first announced this, and at the end of it, it's right back at the top again, where it always supposed to go.
Nice. So someone's raiding.
Ooh, it's a bloody
Someone's
rage.
raiding, as in God of Thunder from Mortal Kombat.
Raid.
Oh, you kill me. Sometimes literally. What's up, bloody bloods? Good to see you.
What's up?
Awesome. What were you doing? There we go. Metal Gods. They were doing art. What were you arting? Wonderful. Thanks. We're going to see some tunnel action then. What do you think about that? You want to see some? Do you want to get in the
Take
tunnel?
us to the tunnel.
Take it. And welcome back.
Me and Dave were giggling like a couple of little schoolgirls because I was like, wouldn't it be funny if you went to see a proctologist and they had the old cheek spreader there and the old telescope looking up your arse, and as he was looking up there, Kyle's playing up your anal cavity guitar, like in the tunnel, out with a cowbell doing a bit of dink, dink, dink. You know what I mean? It's terrifying, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, we got a horror movie coming out soon.
Ah,
That's the
yeah.
idea. Thanks, Bloody Bloods. Awesome of you to raid us while we're trying to rank Dillinger Escape albums from top to bottom, and it's proving fucking horrible to do.
Well, it's not horrible as long as you put Miss Machine at the top.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
well, we know that Dave used it earlier on. This
um,
surprises me, actually. I'm surprised
it?
that you picked this at the top. Yeah, it shouldn't, but like after everything you've said with all the other reviews, I'm surprised this one made the top.
yeah. I suppose it's kind of maybe the purest choice. I don't know.
It's totally the Dave choice. It's
Um,
totally the Dave choice.
I think what impressed me so much about this was 22 years later,
Yeah.
and it still fucking rips and it holds up so well. Calculating Infinity from 1999 is my number one. Is the first album they released. and it created such a wave of all these other bands that were trying to emulate what Dillinger were doing after releasing that album. And to be honest, none of them could really touch it. You know, if you go back and listen to the other bands that tried it, you know,
I think
back
not
then,
a lot of the bands right now can touch it.
No,
to
I
be
know,
honest with
exactly.
you, I think
Yep.
there's a pureness of it, and I don't know if that's because it was on the cusp of setting a new scene.
Yeah.
That they set the rules, so to speak, that
Yep.
bands have been trying to follow, and because it's their rules, they're just better at it.
Yeah.
But there really isn't. I was struggling to think of this today, of a band that I think that has this sound that do it better than this album, and I can't think of one that instantly jumps to mind.
No, I said at the beginning, it's a classic. I think it doesn't have the massive hooks. It doesn't have the very kind of polished production that some of their albums had, but I kind of think it works for that reason. It had a different vocalist, obviously, on that album, but what he delivers is still utterly visceral. Maybe not as technically as good a vocalist as Greg was, but I think it, as you said earlier, it kind of fits this album.
Totally fits this album.
Yeah.
Totally fits this album.
I think it just delivers, like, technically it's on a level that some bands could only dream of kind of playing at. And for a debut album, I mean, fucking hell, putting this out as your first album, get fucked, man. That's just ridiculous.
Get fucked.
There's no need for that. Absolutely none. It's insane. Yeah, I think it's still just an absolute classic from start to end. I love this album. I listen to it, you know, fairly regularly anyway. And listening to it again over the last couple of weeks has just solidified the fact that I just fucking love this album. So yeah, Calculating Infinity is my number one. Which leaves Kyle.
The process of elimination, you probably worked it out.
If you haven't, then who have you been listening to, man?
If you don't know me by now.
Nice.
My number one is Miss Machine, of course it is, because it's just... I don't know, Calculating Infinity is everything Dave said it is, but then Miss Machine just took it another step further for me with experimentation. Right after they came out with that chaotic, fucking crazy, for lack of a better word, mess of an album, which is... It's not messy, but it's... You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. Hopefully everybody else does too. And then to come out with that, and then take that and amp it up, and then get a subscription for 48 months by Infernal Laura. Holy fuck. That's a long time. That's a long time. Hi, Laura.
I mean, I believe they describe that in terms of time as it has been a while. So there you go.
Oh my god.
I think that's the measurement of time that we use for that.
I'm coming to Scotland in like October or February or something for some gig, and one of you is getting a slap.
I'm kind of hoping that I can set this room as like a ye old timey western room, like where I'm like dressed like a cowboy and all the rest, and then someone sends me through the wire a message so I can say, "Look at this telegram." I'm so happy right now. Right, so Miss Machine, Kyle.
Yeah. Actually, isn't 48 months like 4 years? Am I miscalculating that?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Fuck. How have we known each other for 4 years and you've liked me enough to give me $5 a month for that amount of time?
Kyle, you're locked in for the next 4 years, mate. You're on this Twitch for 4 years and another to come.
Yep.
That's you.
What a shame. Whatever shall I do?
Oh no. Oh, woe is me.
It's like doing a Vegas residency.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can't possibly believe what I'm going to do with this. Oh, just
A little
beside
bit
myself
less
with
money.
You see what the basically fucking Tom Jones come back looking like the Crypt Keeper. So I don't know if that's a.
Yeah, no, this album took all of the stuff the first album did, amped it up, and then added some awesome synth experimentation, which I just loved. It was on the one hand, we do what we do, on the other hand, fuck everybody who disagrees with us, and they brought it all together perfectly. So this is just the perfect Dillinger album, and I love it.
It does not surprise me that you went down this road, because the way I described it earlier on makes total sense.
Yeah.
Miss Machine is Dillinger Escape Plan basically doing Broken Era 9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, pretty much.
It really is. It really is.
yeah.
It's all the chaos, intensity, and madness of that era,
Yeah.
but done by a band who are clearly musically better.
Yeah.
Like, musically just on a different level.
Yeah.
But it's the same bottled aggression and chaos
Yeah.
and ferocity of there. So that makes total sense. And I believe the law of numbers means that because 2 of us said Miss Machine is the best album, that Miss Machine is the best album. And even Dave can't play the birthday card. He was about to. I'm shutting it down.
Aye. Longest hair wins.
He's a bit to like start talking about respect to your elders, but I'm not having it.
Longest hair or longest wig?
I'm not telling you.
Well, it depends where we're measuring the hair. That's all I'm saying. Which is disgusting, and I wish I hadn't said that. So let's recap then. I'll go first. Number 6 for me was Ironworks, and number 5 was Disassociation. Number 4 was Option Paralysis. Number 3, Calculating Infinity. Number 2, One of Us is a Killer. Number 1 with a Bullet is Miss Machine. Dave.
Nice. Number 6 for me was Ironworks. Number 5 was Disassociation. Number 4, Miss Machine. Number 3, One of Us is a Killer. Number 2, Option Paralysis. And number 1, Calculating Infinity. Kyle.
6 was Disassociation. 5, Option Paralysis. 4, One of Us is the Killer. 3, Ironworks. 2, Calculating Infinity. And 1 was Miss Machine. I think.
See, I said at the start, if you ask a group of people what their favourite albums of Dillinger are, rank them, they're all going to be completely different.
Yeah.
And they were.
Yeah, they were.
Pretty much, anyway.
Like doing the research online as well, checking out what other like large publications were posting. Like my list was completely different to most of them. You either fall into the Calculating Infinity, the purist camp, like Dave mentioned, is the greatest album, and every album after that wasn't as good as. Or you follow the other way, which is Disassociation is their best album, and it's all different shades of mix beyond that point.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, like, I thought that this is the sort of going back over and listening to a band's, discography that is really fucking great because, like I said, like albums have went up in my estimation, albums have went down in my estimation. So those assumptions that I had, having not listened to things in years, have completely changed in a way which is really cool. But you will do yourself absolutely zero harm in the next week listening to those 6 albums.
Yep.
It's just they really are. Like Dillinger Escape Plan are one of those bands where you can see, and there are very few of them in the genre of music that we love, instantly recognizable.
Absolutely.
Instantly recognizable.
Yep.
And hugely influential. And it's a very small group of bands that can claim that. So, and went out while they were on top. Went out arguably when they were at their most popular.
Absolutely. That's the best way to go. Like, don't pull an Iron Maiden or a Slayer. Like, just
I love how we're like see Iron Maiden again. Cool, let's take things.
Iron fucking.
Let's put a samurai on there because the kids love samurais.
Right. Oh my. It's such a
cynical
yeah,
as fuck.
it really is. It's man.
Hate them.
Yeah.
Fun in hell.
I'll go see them live and I'll enjoy the most of it, and I really would enjoy it because their live show is incredible and their classic songs are fucking amazing. But like the new stuff, just anyway. Dillinger.
I don't like their classic stuff either. I think they're wank.
Fair enough. Everyone's entitled to their own wrong opinion.
I said wank. There we go.
And none of us said how high.
As long as you're saying high, not hard. Right. Anyway. So what we're doing in the next Twitch?
It's a good question, Duncan. It is.
Nobody thought this one through. Thanks, Duncan.
Thanks, Duncan. See, I've got a secret chat to myself that says throw a question that puts them on the spot. So
I don't know. What could we do on the next Twitch? What do you fancy doing? Any suggestions from the chat? What are you thinking?
Yes.
Laura's just added the quote of Duncan saying, "I said wank" to my bot, so now it's going to pop up every now and then. Like,
I love that.
Quote number 7. I said wank, Duncan.
I stand by that statement as well. I endorse it fully.
Brilliant. Oh. Yep. I think, what did we do before? What have we done? We've done discographies, which have done 2 bands. One, admittedly, a little bit better than the other.
wee bit.
We've done best albums of a particular year,
Yep.
and what's the
We've done
third-
Gateway. We've done
Gateway
Gateway
albums? Yeah, and we've done 4 of these streams. What's the 4th thing we did?
I can't remember. Stained.
No, that's the one I just said.
So we did Stained,
Disco-
we've done Dillinger,
Yeah.
we've done
Gateway.
we did a year.
2002. I swear we've done another stream.
Maybe we just did one where we just chatted.
Maybe Stained was the first one.
No, we had one before that.
Yeah, 'cause
I did
that's
a
where
lot. I sang a lot of Spice Girl songs.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I love how like Kyle did it with a whimsical smile and a chuckle. Dave looked mortified when the memory came back. He's like, oh yeah. I mean, we could. I don't know if we can physically, after coming off Dillinger, do another year of music. 'Cause that seems like a lot of work. But
That was a lot of work. Listen
was.
to
It was
all
fun,
those
though.
albums that came out. Well, I mean,
It
I didn't
was.
listen to every album that came out that year in any genre in metal because, like, some of them I knew I hated, so I'd like pick
Yeah,
the
I
best
was
ones.
the same. Yeah, there was.
Pick
yeah.
the ones I thought, oh yeah, that was good, 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 and that was good, and that one was not. And listen to
So
the
we've
ones.
done. This is. Wait a minute. We've done way more.
We've done 6.
We've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think.
7.
So we've done first metal albums.
Oh yeah. that was-
We did
Yeah.
metal bands that peaked on their debut album.
Ah,
Yes, we
yeah.
did.
We did one album wonders.
Yes, we did.
That was it.
Stained.
Ugh.
Best metal albums in 2002. Gateway albums and now Dillinger. 7.
7.
Oh.
It's a lot of content.
Yeah.
So, way to go though. Way to go.
Way
What
to
do?
go.
How do I not remember 7 of these streams? I'm like repressing memories here.
Don't go back and check them out.
Right.
That's
So
bad
let's
news.
do a stream card. Yeah, sounds like a great idea. 7 months later.
Um,
Let me have a look.
What should we do next time then?
how about we invert it? Alright, how about we do?
Can we tear some albums apart?
Yeah, let's do top 5. Let's do our top 5 albums that are critically really well received that we think are terrible.
I like this idea. Have some fun.
We are all going to end up talking about System of a Down.
Yeah, they'll probably make an appearance.
Yep.
Let's do that. Yeah, let's do top 5 albums that are critically well received, as in made. Like, let's narrow it down. They made top 10 lists by major publications in that year
And they suck.
Okay.
that we think suck.
Okay.
I thought you always tear albums apart, says Laura. Like, well, only if they're shit. And to be honest, there's been
Only
a lot of
only
shit
if the-
released the past couple of years
Only,
that
only
I've
if
been
the-
forced to listen to. Thank you, Dave.
Only if the producer goes in and starts moving bass drum beats.
Yeah.
Um,
if the producer's like,
Yeah.
this is a kick drum.
Yeah. See how easy it is to do this? Why can't you do this on the beat? Why can't you do this on the beat?
Yeah. This button
So-
here is quantized.
So yeah, let's do it. So and we can do it of let's open it up. So let's just do it. In fact, no. If we open it up, we'll be here forever. Let's do it from 2000 onwards.
All right. And this is 5 albums that were critically well received, but we hate.
That made top 10. So what we'll need to do is we'll all need to rake out from the major publications their top 20 albums, well, top 10 albums from the year, and look and find the ones we most disagree with to bring back, and then I get a feeling this will cause fights.
I'm surprised we survived this. I really thought it would be like, fucking what? This one is so good and you're not.
It's really difficult to dislike Dillinger Escape Plan.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You
They
know what
were
I mean?
all come in saying all of these are amazing, but this is my preferred order. so
We
you can't
also
really-
secretly said in the background that this is the one we wanted to win. So
Yeah.
there's a bit of that where we're all kind of excited for this one, but I think that one allows a degree of.
That is a long title, Kieran, but I like it. Post-millennium top 10 critically acclaimed albums by big names.
Oh my god.
Yes,
Thumbs up.
yes. But yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll come back and do that, and then this will be the first stream since Sustained one where we are just kicking the shit out of albums.
Yeah.
Like just killing it. I'm genuinely curious to see what comes out of that.
Interesting.
So of the last, let's not include this year for obvious reasons. So from 2000 to 2020.
20 years
Okay.
of albums to bring that into a
20
top 5 of
Yep.
utter shit.
Yep. Top 5 albums that were so highly critically received that we fucking hate. And we'll need to, you know what we're like, we'll need to add a couple of extra ones in there just in case someone else steals your one. Let's try and get a unique list of 5
Utter shit discs.
That's the name of the show.
That's great.
That's the name of the show.
Yeah. Like a farmer in a field.
Yeah. Albums that I would not piss on to put out the fire that was on them. You know. I love it. Love it. Let's do that.
Nice.
Utter shit
Nice.
discs. Like
So that'll be the last Wednesday of September,
Jesus.
What's that
which
date?
is looking like a
It's the 29th.
29th.
Oh, you know what that is?
Yes, I do, Duncan.
Yeah, it's the day
That's-
before I turn 40. So
Nice. Wow.
look at this photograph. I was young in it. Look at it. What's happened to me?
Are you going to be here?
Yes. Who would I be?
You'll be up to your arms and nappies and greeting
No,
veins?
no. We'll talk about that off air. Like,
Okay.
like Operation New Baby has been brought forward.
Duncan's got a spreadsheet. It's uplanded.
Yeah, like for medical reasons, the baby will be here earlier than expected. So,
Oh, okay.
So yes, by then we will have acclimated to a snotty, crying, shit-faced little bastard in the house. No, I can't wait to arrive. Actually, I'm really excited. So,
Yeah, good save.
so, yeah. It did suddenly occur to me that my wife might watch this. She won't, but if she does,
Hey, your new kid might watch this in 20 years too and go, you said fucking what?
yeah. To be honest, I will have said worse by then. So yeah. So I like yeah. So like I will be
Nobody
here
clip
for
that.
that.
No, don't do it. Nobody clip
I
that
will
and
be here
save it.
for that, and I will be visibly aged. So yeah.
Honestly, I kind of forgot all about that was happening, and I thought Dave was going to say, "It's your birthday, aren't you going to be up to your armpits and pussy?"
If by up to your armpits and pussy you mean silicon-based versions of it, then yes, Kyle. Yes, I shall.
He's been
This
there.
episode of the Metal Epidemic Twitch is sponsored by Fleshlight. Use the product code Epidemic at checkout to get 50% off your sensational lube. That's right, Epidemic at checkout at fleshlight.com.
Pussy epidemic.
Pussy Epidemic.
Oh, this took a
Sounds like-
turn.
It sounds
Sounds
like
wrong.
the worst, the nastiest 90s porn video that's been passed around all your friends on a VHS that no longer plays.
Oh,
Don't do it.
Moving
do it.
swiftly on.
wow.
Yeah, moving swiftly on, once again, just want to stress, overjoyed. Overjoyed. Overjoyed that because I'm a firm believer, although it's going to sound like I'm a creepy old man, I'm a firm believer in sex workers having the ability to share what they want in a safe environment on OnlyFans, which has reversed its decision today to allow sex workers to continue to apply their trade uncensored on their platform, which is a much safer way for that business model to move forward. And yeah, that is it's the power of the fucking people, man. That's what happens when you mess with my titties. You know what I mean? So there we are.
Nice.
So well done to all the sex workers that are in the Twitch. Where we're going with this. I've dug myself. This is why you should dig me out.
That's a
occasionally.
hell of an assumption to make. Like Twitch chat, yes, some of you must be sex workers.
I read something somewhere that people were complaining about Twitch because there was like people in jacuzzis or something, and I was like, this is where I normaled, so.
Bunch of whiny cunts is what they are. Like, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Move on with your life.
Oh, it's suspended, not cancelled. I have faith. I have faith that they've suspended it just now because they know the power of naked porn.
Power of the titties, Duncan.
I didn't want to say that because there's Wang on there as well, so it's the power of the naked form.
But we're not watching that.
I mean,
Yeah, you are.
speak
Come
for
on.
yourself. If Greg Pucciato's up there, I'm watching that.
I'm
See?
subscribing, yeah.
That man can pick up his keys without bending over. Know what I'm
I
saying?
like it. I like it.
He's
Long
got
arms. Really long arms.
really long, really long
dexterous
arms.
toes. Got it, yeah.
Greg, the tripod Pucciato. If you know what I mean. You should see his impression of an elephant. It's amazing. So anyway,
Oh dear.
Oh, he can't pick up a pint without bending over. He can't. I think he's tried. I think there's a paywall restriction on that though. So
You
you
can
have to...
drink a pint without bending over.
Does he drink? I don't know if he drinks.
I
Is
don't
he
know.
not one of these, like very, very?
Yeah, Dillinger are like all.
Well, hello there.
They're all vegan.
They're
are they
all
not?
well vegetarian and vegan. Yeah, teetotals. Yeah, so
Yeah.
which is like totally explains where all their fucking anger comes from.
You just think a steak could sort that out.
Right? Yeah. I guess some
Well,
red meat.
they
You'll
have,
mellow
like-
out.
If they just sit down and they have some chicken bar moral, all of a sudden they'll be playing smooth jazz.
Yeah.
I like it. I think they are. I don't think they drink, and I think they are vegans. And I might be totally wrong about that and just casting shade, but I remember that being one of their. Like, I remember it was all. They were very meticulous about themselves.
Yeah. Not that I have
So-
anything against all that. It's just jokes.
No,
That's
no,
it, of
each to
course,
their
yeah.
own.
Yeah,
That's
man.
your. If that's the road
I
that
give
you're on, then
no
go for it.
shits.
No,
So,
no,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do what you want.
Just in case anybody decides to get offended.
Yes. Yeah. Don't get offended. Just remember.
I'm looking at my work emails and discuss currently. I got a solution for that. A steak.
Just remember what the late great Alistair Crowley said. Do what thou wilt.
Yeah.
That is the word of the law.
And then he went on
There
to
we
be
go.
a complete nutcase.
Oh yeah, he went full fisting, which is kind of amazing. He did. He went on a fisting escapade that lasted about 30 years. So
He's nuts, that one.
the problem was he'd done it so many times that he was right up to here with it.
Oh,
I can't wait till I turn 40 and grow up. Anyway,
that's never going to happen. One of those things is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Please don't die in the next month. I'll be the saddest person
yeah.
after that.
Mate, that is like clip that bit just in case you have
Yeah.
to memorialise me. That gets played at my funeral. Look at what nasty shit Kyle said before Duncan died.
Yeah, they'll play it at your funeral and everybody will laugh.
Yeah, yeah. They will. They'll be like, "Yeah, we never thought we'd make 40 either."
Yeah.
It's a true story.
This is going to be a good next stream. I can't wait to see what we come up with. And how many
I
fights
have
we get
two
into.
in my head. I've two in my head already.
Yeah, I've got a
so
couple. Like, oh my god,
Yeah.
these should not have been. They should have been stomped on.
One of them is one that I know for a fact is going to get everyone pissed off. So, and I can't wait to mention it.
Oh yeah, we're not going to tell anyone until next time.
Yeah.
We're not going to tell each other.
Oh no! Like that's the beauty of it, is because I have a sneaky suspicion at least one of yous to really like.
See, I'll talk to my wife about it, and she'll agree with every choice because she hates metal.
She'll be adding things to the
Yeah.
list. Like,
She'll be like Iowa. I'm like, what? No, you got this wrong.
okay. Also, what I would like to say is, can we? I don't think it made any top 10 list, but in the unlikely event it did, none of us are allowed to cop out and pick Lulu.
Yeah, no. None of those obvious
Right.
ones like Saint Anger. And
No one is allowed Lulu. Well, St.
St.
Anger
Anger's
would never be
fucking
on that
amazing.
list. And never like Saint Anger is. I think you think we're trolling you, but me and Dave legitimately like Saint Anger.
Yeah, I do too. But I mean,
All right.
I'm
There's
just
a lot of
saying none of
people
the
that
obvious
don't-
ones that everybody hates. So it's
Yeah,
like-
plus, critically that year, Saint Anger scored pretty high. It was the following year that everyone changed their mind.
yeah.
So
Everyone, actually, that snare is a bit trash canny.
not enough.
More trash can, please, Lars.
Literally, yeah. I want a whole album of just that snare. Lars is optional. So
I can accommodate you. I own a snare drum and a couple of microphones, and I have a drumstick somewhere. Where's the drumstick gone?
Dave back in the day used to have this piccolo snare, this beautiful, beautiful snare drum. And whenever he hit it, I swear to God, the back of my eye felt like it was going to pop backwards. It was the most pingy, twangy snare I've ever heard. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
So,
Those were the days.
yeah.
I want to hear that snare.
But whenever I hit it, we were like, piccolo! Oh! It was like really, really, really poppy. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I think that might have been, was that the one that ended up in the stolen car?
You're right, Kieran. You're not having a stroke over there. What the fuck?
Yeah, I bought it. I bought it a second time because it got stolen the first time.
Yeah,
What?
stolen.
Somebody stole Saint Anger.
No, someone stole Dave's car,
Oh, okay.
which, we've never told that story. We could probably condense it here because it's my favourite. It's one of my favourite Dave stories ever. Give people a little, because we've got, I can kill something here.
That's a good
and
excuse,
they get to a bit of behind the scenes stuff here. So, I've known Dave now for 1999 we met, so 22 years. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck it. 22 years I've known Dave. Right, so I've known Dave more years I've been on this planet than I did not knowing him, right?
Yeah.
And we met in college. We're both studying music production, music technology. And we didn't speak to each other for the first 6 months, even though we were in the same class together and also had Christmas temp jobs in the same company. We never fucking spoke to each other. Out with the kind of the civil kind of head nod kind of yes, that. But as part of the course, you had to form a band and record some live music because you need to record music in a music technology course. So I remember kind of sitting myself fiddling away and Dave coming across and asked, because all the bands were forming and I didn't talk to anyone. Believe it or not, I was shy. It's hard to realize.
It's hard
Didn't
to
really
get your
speak
head
much.
around.
Didn't really speak to many people. Kind of kept myself to myself. Was very quiet. And Dave come across and was like, "You want to be in the band?" And I was like, "Oh yeah." And he's like, "What do you play?" And I was like, "I play keyboard." And Dave's like,
No.
"We don't need a keyboard. We don't need a keyboard player." I was like, "Oh okay." And then Dave's like, "What else do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I sang at school." And Dave's like, well, "What sort of stuff did you do?" And I was like, "Yeah, like Fiddler on the Roof," because that's literally what I had to sit for my hire. And Dave's like, no. And Dave gave me and this is the first time I heard it, Dave gave me the first Slipknot album, which has just come out. Gave it to me to listen to, and he was like, "Can you do that?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." And hence our friendship blossomed. And over the couple of months, we started doing a lot more stuff together. A lot more stuff together and all the rest. And then a friendship blossomed. So much so, he's my best friend. He's like, I was best man at his wedding, he was best man at my wedding. Right? All this stuff. It's a lovely story. But my favourite Dave moments are the moments where Dave has been in pure misery and turmoil. because at college one day, finished college, we go to the car park, and Dave's car's not there. And this is early 2000s.
Yeah.
2000, something like whatever. And to put people in perspective, a little movie called Dude, Where's My Car had just come out. And Dave's car's missing. So Dave's like, "Where's my car?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, where's your car?" And I think this is hilarious, not thinking that someone actually stole his car, right? Because why would I think that? I wouldn't think that. So Dave's obviously he's playing it. Well, I think he's playing it. Dave's being serious. His car's not there. And I'm like, Where's your car, dude? Dude, where's your car? Where's your car, dude? Turns out Dave's car was actually stolen. Stolen. It was found, was it the next day?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was found the next day, burned out. Like, I'm sure the police never said it, but I'm sure there was semen stains in it. And someone had pissed in it as well, right? But it was burned out, and all Dave's drum equipment, that was the worst thing. All Dave's drum equipment was gone. Like, stolen, gone. And this fucking shell of a car that had been left. Cut forward a year. And like, that's a distant memory now. Like, I'm down at your, I can't remember where I was down at your flat, but I was down at your flat. And we go to get some food for lunch, and Dave lived across from a kind of shopping precinct. So we go, for some reason, and I still don't know why this, we drove round to the car park, which is the laziest fucking thing ever, because the car park was 30 seconds walk, but we drove round. Dave parks his car, we get ourselves, it was either a chip shop or maybe I was probably a Greg's. Get a Greg's, back to Davey's flat, sit and munch our Greg's. I'm away. Lovely seeing you, Dave. I go home. Like that. Get a phone call from Dave the following day. Along the lines of, wait till I tell you what happened yesterday. So, do you want to fill in the rest of the story here? Because it's fucking amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
So, I gets up, getting ready for work. I was working part-time at Curry's electrical store at the time. And getting ready for work, gets my kit on. Heads out the flat, down at the car park. Out in the car park, I was like, where the fuck's my car? Where the fuck's my car? I was like, oh no. It's happened again. I can't believe it.
Like flashbacks.
The car's gone, oh no, oh fuck. So I'm on the phone, on the police, my car's been stolen. All right, Mr. Buchanan, we'll put out an alert. We'll let officers know in the area that the car's been stolen with a description and all that. Just, you sit tight. We'll send an officer around. All right, no bother. So I phoned my work. Guys, I'm not going to make it to work. My car's been stolen. I'm stuck here. I'm waiting on the cops to come. Right, no problem. So I'm sitting and I'm waiting. I'm thinking, right, these cops should be here any minute. Get this sorted out. Fucking can't believe this has happened again. And then all of a sudden, it dawns on me for a second. When was the last time I actually used the car? Me and Duncan, we took a trip down the town to get something to eat yesterday for lunch.
30 seconds from the corner into a car park.
Yep. And then we walked back to my flat.
Where's Davey's car?
We're leaving the car in the fucking car park. So then I had to make a call back to the police. To tell them it was a false alarm. And my work to say, guys, actually, I found my car. It was where I fucking left it.
Man. Oh, man. So good. So he's telling me this on the phone, and I'm fucking howling. I'm absolutely howling. Oh, man. The best thing ever. And this is why you're awesome, Dave, because you never miss an opportunity to completely entertain me. So yeah.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is don't be lazy. If you're going to buy a Greg's sausage roll and Greg's is less than a minute's walk from your front door, fucking walk.
Yeah.
So
true. And don't leave your drums in the car as other lesson.
Don't leave your drums in, although it was in a college car park.
Yeah.
Right beside the building that we were in, so the fucking balls on the person that broke into your car to take your car.
It was right next to the building of reprobates, though. You know, the ones that are on like juvenile detention, like those guys that are in. Yeah,
like the music section was a bunch of like brick buildings that looked like detention centres from Guantanamo Bay. Out the back, it was like technically out of the main building, so we could make as much noise as we want. And I think you're right. I think someone's probably clocked some drums in the back and were away with it. But yeah. So you got better bass drum pedals. You got a better snare out of it. So
That's true.
One door closes, another one opens.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Thanks for that.
So fucking funny. So funny, man. Honestly. So I'm the sort of person you want in a crisis. Like, that's the key to the story. When you've lost something, you want me there because I will find the worst movie to keep mentioning over, and then I will remind you of it intermittently over 22 years after the fact.
This is true.
So, there we go.
Yes, Raven. And on that bombshell, thanks again, once again, for joining us on our Twitch stream. You have a fringe, yes, I do.
Yes,
have a
and
fringe,
once
yeah.
again, I think Dave thought you meant on that bombshell where we close things up. But no, she was trying to mention that you now look like you are Billy from Stranger Things. I swear to God, it's fucking freaking me out. What is seen cannot be unseen.
This is going to be my new profile picture for all social media.
Do it, please. Every time I see you pop up, I'll be like, yes. And then I'll die laughing, and people will please to shut up, Kyle.
Only if you do something like this in your photo.
Yeah. I'll be sat there dead laughing, and they'll be, please, Carl, can you please shut up? This is a female. I'm like, no. Do it. Go on, please. Make my day. You make my. Yeah, exactly.
He did it long enough for a screen capture as well, which is amazing.
We are in a meeting. Why are you laughing? It's Dave.
Right, bring us home, Dave. Bring us home.
Good times. I mean, I stuck with it for the whole stream.
I'm surprised.
Absolutely stoked right through to the bone, but you know, I stuck with it. It's just one big mat of hair now. It's all stuck together with sweat.
One big dreadlock.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks again. Much appreciated. Had a blast as usual. We'll be back in a month's time with our next Twitch stream discussing post 2000 critically acclaimed albums that are fucking garbage.
What was it called? What do we call it? The shit discs.
Utter shit discs, I think. Was
Utter shit discs.
Yeah.
Utter shit discs. 2000 to 2020 edition.
Yes. Month's time. The last Wednesday of the month. 29th of September, did we say?
Yep.
We'll be back for another stream. Thank you so much for checking this one out. Much appreciated. We'll be back in a month on Twitch. See you then.
Bye, everyone.
See you later. I'll be back on
Laters.
Friday with some making music and stuff. So I'll see you then. And we're going to go raid our evil TV teammate, Alara Shade. So stick around for that and say hi, and we'll see you again later. And I'll see you Friday. And you'll see these guys in a month. And I'll see them next week. Where
Bye.
When's the next stuff coming out?
It's just the worst pose ever. It's just the worst pose ever. I love it.
All right.
Oh, man.
Bye.
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 Oh. There we go.
And we're out.
That was good. I enjoyed that.